What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Doc Holiday back with another HBCU Overdrive live stream. And if you haven't done it down now, make sure if you are a member, um, if you're a member, go ahead and hit that $4.99 join button to become an exclusive member of the channel. Make sure you hit that channel, become a member. Also, if you have it, if you want to be subscribed to the channel, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit everything, that notification bell to get everything HBCU Overdrive. Hit that like button, share it with your people, and comment. Good comments bring in good vibes. So let me go ahead and get this out the way. Still working on this laptop. So there you go. Still working on the laptop. So trying to get this ticket going. And you already know, you want to air your grievances out, you want to air your opinions, feel free to jump in on the stream, y'all. Feel free to jump in on the stream. Let's see. First of all, shout out to Shane Hooks for coming back to Jackson State. Heard good news out there in Jackson that he was cooking dudes on the football field. So it was a good thing that he did come back to the team. What's up, Southbound? Pretty much that's the reason why I'm doing it right now. And if you haven't gotten my message from our Twitter, so I'm gonna do this. It's only gonna be for about an hour or so, and then after that, man, jump on Ken Clark's live. He come up on 9 o'clock. So you know what I'm saying? You get that 1-2 combination. You get Shaq right here, he Kobe. That's how we do it. That's how we do it. If we put it in basketball terms, since he a Lakers fan. But shout out to the commits that we everybody's getting. Shout out to who's that one commit? The one commit is coming from Long Beach Poly. They committed to Bethune Cookman today. Shout out to you, my brother, for making that commitment today. I apologize for the late start on the show, but it was all good. Yeah. Hey, Hooks, they say he already on campus cooking dudes. So Hooks, Hollywood's back on campus. So I don't know if it was anything that was out there, but I'm glad that we did get him back in. So now that makes that receiving core is going to be too prolific. Shout out to also around HBCU, around the HBCU world. Give a shout out to Howard University. Man, I'm gonna tell you just like this. They played Morehouse the other day. They sold out the Burr Gymnasium with a big dub in Burr. Shout out to Steph Curry getting a workout in on Howard's in the weight room for basketball, but he does sponsor the golf team for Howard University. So it was a great thing for him to come to kick it with the students over there at Howard University. So we need more stuff like that. And I think if I'm not mistaken, the transfer portal will be closing. I think it closes this weekend. So I think the transfer portal closes this weekend. So for all those kids that jumped in the transfer portal that doesn't have a offer or an offer yet or haven't committed, I would say jump out, go back to your school, then jump back in around the mid-March period to see what's out there. And then when that's out there, it's only going to be open for about a week and a half. South Bend, I don't say we might go undefeated, but I'm gonna say it like this: we might go undefeated in the SWAC. In the SWAC, we might do that. We might do that. I'm not gonna say we are. I'm not gonna say we not, but we might do that. Make sure y'all like the stream. Gets 31 people up in here. I know everybody's waiting on for Ken Clark. Yeah, it closed. Yeah, thank you, Eddie. It do. I knew it was something that the portal did close today. So Shane got out just in time because once that portal closes, you can't do anything. It's just like a dead recruiting period for schools. You can't jump in, you can't jump out. The only thing you can do is just stay up in there. Stay in there. And we got my resident historian on the line right here, as always. How you doing, Mr. Ford?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah. Now you know what this means with this portal, with this people getting desperate. Once again, I want y'all to keep in mind, you're gonna see some Division II schools with FBS talent.
Yeah.
You're gonna see FBS talent at Albany State, Fort Valley, Benedict College, Tuskegee. Just watch and see.
And what I'm saying is, once that portal opened back up in mid-March, they only got a week, and I think it's only got a week and a half, 2 weeks. If I'm not mistaken, Eddie, let me know if I'm right or not. I think it's like a couple of weeks in the portal for the portal to be open. After that, then it's closed again till the end of the year. You're gonna see it's gonna be a lot because those kids, like we said, those kids that did not get, they do not have a Division I, any kind of offer from a FCS or FBS school. D2 NAIA and the JUCO is gonna go right up in there and get them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And listen, I'm telling you now, that guy Chennis Berry, he can get you in the league. That guy, Quinn Gray down at Albany State can get you in the league. Coach Gibbs at Fort Valley can get you in the league. Now, I'm waiting to watch this guy, James. I think his last name is James at Tuskegee. I remember when he played, but I'm waiting to see what that program is going to look like.
I think it's going to look good, though.
I'm hoping that it does. Because, Tuskegee is the winningest HBCU in the country.
Over 700 wins.
Yeah, that's right. Over 700 wins. They dominated black college football until World War II.
Right.
Yeah, that's when the coming of Southern and Florida A&M and it was Morgan State.
Coach Simmons said Chennis would have been big at Bethune-Cookman. But I think he wanted to keep it. I think he wanted to build that D2 powerhouse.
Listen, they say they got a president and an AD trying to give him anything he wants.
Hey, you know what?
In the city of that's Columbia, in the Columbia, South Carolina.
South Carolina. You know what? You know what, Mr. Ford? I'm gonna be real honest with you. When you say that he has a president and an AD that's willing to do anything for him, I would want to work for somebody like them. Even if it's in the SWAC, say Ashley Robinson and President Hudson,
right?
If they could give you anything, and without the politicking and stuff like that, then I'll go with it. I'll go with them just like that. I'll stick with them, and I think that's the reason why, in a sense, TC is going to be.
Oh, he's going to be awesome.
Fine. He's going to be just fine.
Listen, I keep telling y'all, TC is going to be better than Prime. He's going to be better. He's going to have a better program. And I'm looking for him to win 2 Celebration Bowls.
Okay. Got a question for you, Mr. Ford.
What is that?
He asked again, JSU going undefeated.
Oh, without
That's
a
the
doubt.
first question. And what other HBCU had the second best recruiting class?
Well, now on our side of SWAC, it's got to be Florida A&M. But
Mm-hmm.
on the that MEAC side, you got to take a look at what Morgan State did.
Yeah.
Morgan State brought in all them giants, and then you got a good coaching staff up there. That's Coach
Wilson.
Yeah, you got Wilson. You got that guy. His defense coordinator is good.
Mm-hmm.
They were good in Division II. Now, listen, I'm looking for Morgan State in the next 2 to 3 years to show up at the Celebration Bowl.
I'm looking for that too. I think it might happen.
Yeah, because he's stocking up in the trenches. He's getting loaded in the offensive line and the defensive line.
Okay, yeah, I think and you know I'm looking at what I'm looking at that. Then I'm also looking at so you might laugh at me, but I'm also looking at Howard. I've seen some guys from Howard, some kids going to Howard, and I'm telling y'all, just because Howard was under 5, they were one game under 500 for the first, really.
Yeah.
But they still
now you know that Howard didn't last year. They have but one problem. They didn't have a quarterback. That's the only problem they had.
The quarterback was inconsistent.
Yeah, that's right. That's the only problem they had.
Everything else on the team was 8-1.
Yeah,
defense was 8-1. The offensive line, Trish played basically on both sides of the ball was great.
Right,
they were great. They had the skill players, the receivers. They had the running back. They had the DBs and the front seven. The only question, like you said, was the quarterback. Now he did come correct towards the end of the season. And I will say this about the quarterback for Howard. He did come correct towards the end of the season. Like if they would have started off with that W in Atlanta against Alabama State,
right?
Then it probably would have been a 3-way. It probably would have been a 2. It still would have been a 2-way thing between North Carolina Central and Howard.
Now, Doc, let me just say this here now. When it comes to Larry Scott and Trey Oliver, I'm gonna have to go with Trey Oliver.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go with Trey. Because wherever Trey goes, it's championships. As an assistant and as a head coach, Trey has been on the Broadway. Trey was down at Southern. Then he comes home. They the national champs at North Carolina Central. So, before I can blow up Howard right now, Howard got to beat Trey. They got to beat Central.
Yeah, and I think the way when they played early, they played in the season, early in the season. Well, they played towards late season. If they didn't turn the ball over so many times in that game, it would have been a different game.
Yeah.
It would have been a totally different game if they would not have turned the ball over that many times in that game. And then two, Central jumped out on them like almost with a 2-touchdown lead, and I feel like Howard couldn't recuperate from that.
Right.
But they did, like I said, they did finish the season. Even though they were 5-6, they did finish the season as co-champs of the MEAC. So
they getting better.
We can't say that they suck. We can't say anything about that because they were co-champs of the conference.
Yeah,
it's something that the MEAC had in place. Now you got more teams. Okay, you're gonna play in the conference game. You're gonna play in the conference championship. Then but I got is TC being better than Prime in the long run. It's just wishful thinking and a setup for disappointment.
I don't know, man.
I don't know, man.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you something now. TC gonna fool y'all. TC showing y'all. Here's the thing. Most people assume that TC's career started on the prime, which is a lie. TC go way back, okay? And TC them won the MEAC when he was offensive coordinator. Jerry, what was Jerry's name? Jerry Mack was head coach at North Carolina Central. Played for the Celebration Bowl, lost to the Grambling. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that TC's gonna be better. I think he's gonna be better. And I listen, I'll put a check on it. Cause he knows what to do. He knows what to do. He's been on a lot of people. TC studies the game. He's shown you with this recruiting, but I still say his staff might be better. Now, I know that guy Harris is going to be better than Brett Bartolome. I know that the guy he's bringing in from Northern Illinois as offensive line coach is going to be better than, I think his name is Merkerson, wasn't it?
Markinson. Yeah,
he's going to be better.
Colorado.
Yeah. So, listen, I'm telling y'all now. Like I said, I put a check on it. I think he's going to be better. I feel confident in saying that.
So Prime was not a good coach. He was a good recruiter, but not a better coach. I think he was a better CEO of being a CEO coach and letting his coaches rock out.
Well, but he did show some of what I would call, inexperience as a head coach in certain things. I mean, there's not much to criticize. He did win 2 SWAC championships. He went undefeated in the SWAC for 2 years. The only thing he really didn't beat the University of Louisiana Monroe. Yeah. That would have been his FBS win. He didn't win the 2 Celebration Bowl. But I'm just telling y'all, I think TC is going to take that Jackson State program to another level. I'm serious.
And I think he's going to take it to another level too, because I think he's the writing on the wall. And then too, you
talking about, you said Hollywood is coming. What's his name? Shane Hooks is back.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, that's Shane Hooks on one side, Malachi Wideman on another side. That DJ, was it the boy from right there at Jackson? What's his name? DJ Stevens?
DJ Stevens.
DJ Stevens. Then who you think gonna be at the slot?
In the slot, I haven't heard about Willie Gaines, but you could put Trevante Rucker in the slot. You could put
you're right. Right now, you're right. It'd be Trevante Rucker or Willie Gaines, because Willie Gaines is a big play guy, man. That dude, that's electrifying.
You still got Willie. You got Rico Powers. You got
Rico's nice. I like Rico too. That room is still solid.
Yeah, the wide receiver room is straight.
That's an FBS wide receiver room.
And then they just got a commitment from the transfer from Idaho State, Brandon Johnson.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's 6'5", 215. So he can go inside and he can go out. So it's like I said, it's a lot of pieces that you can put together in that on that wide receiver list. Yeah. And the only thing is somebody's gonna be left off the list. All right.
I don't know. I think he can play. You can play 8 to 9 wide receivers in that offense. With Harris them, I think you can play 8 to 9 wide receivers.
Okay, I can see that.
I can see 8 to 9. Now, Doc, somebody from Augusta was asking me a question. Did you see that?
Yeah. Let me see. We're gonna go back to you, we're gonna go back to you, man. My bad. As you know about good football coming out of Augusta, Georgia.
Listen, Emerson Boozer was one of my first heroes, New York Jets. He was from Augusta, Georgia, Lucy Lane High School. They had another boy. He went to University of Georgia. His name was Sylvester Bowler. That was in the early 70s. Listen, one of the first bands that I heard play Shaft in the early, remember Shaft by Isaac Hayes?
Yeah.
Okay, Lucy Lane played it. Lucy Laney used to perform every year at Fort Valley State's homecoming because the director, the band director, was a graduate to. He was a graduate of Fort Valley. I think he was also Omega Psi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. We got what's some other news we got in now? PJ Hatter did, like I said, he didn't sign his letter of his LOI on the early signing day. He is going to be on campus, I think, either this week or next week for Jackson State. So I'm looking more as for him to sign on on the big signing day.
That's February 3rd. February 3rd.
So I'm looking at him signing on the big signing day. So he is between Jackson State, and if he got a offer from Prairie View, he's gonna go visit Prairie View because they ain't number down the street for him.
Yeah.
But he is gonna be in Jackson, I think next week.
And he's big time too. After you told me to go and look him up, I went and looked his film. That boy, he's big time, man. I'm gonna tell you something. I think Jackson gonna go all out because listen, they see that's what I see. I don't think they're gonna let that kid get away, man.
I don't think TC
gonna they ain't gonna let that kid. That kid, man is.
I think some of the kids. I think some of the kids that's on the team now that's been doing a lot of recruiting through Twitter. I think they're not gonna let him go either. So,
no, I don't think they're gonna let that kid go, man. That kid can go, man.
So I'm gonna go ahead and get it jumping for right now, and we're gonna start off. We're gonna go with what we talk about today. So my whole thing is who's at fault? Who's at fault from the tirade that what we saw on Sunday? Some people say it is at BCU versus Bethune Cookman, and then some people say it's Ed Reed. All right. Now, my whole thing is this. Was it wrong for Ed Reed to put that stuff out? And I said it already. It was wrong. It's on social media.
Right.
It was wrong. Now, all that the fervor and the gusto, I would have took that up to the board of trustees, like behind closed doors. That's my whole thing about it. I would have took it up to the board of trustees. I would have talked to the interim president. You can't talk to the AD because he's actually coaching basketball. You can't talk to him unless you talk to him on the phone, but you want to talk to that man up front. And I would say, hey, look, we got stuff going on. I want to make sure this, that, and the third. Run it down. But now I also gonna say Bethune Cookman was at fault too, because let me go back first before we go to Bethune Cookman. I will say this: Ed Reed should have knew what he was getting himself into.
Right.
I'm gonna say it like this. I agree with you, Sonny Boone. The exposure was not the problem. Him not saying it in a professional manner was the problem. That was the problem. That was what everybody got upset about. Now, like I said, what he said was wrong. I don't think it was wrong. It just wasn't meant to be said with all the expletives and with all the curse words.
Well, now let me throw this in there too. Now I think that was Sonny Boom that said he accused him of being unprofessional. The word that I think about is he's ungrateful. See, when I was growing up, if your parents or your grandparents or people of substance accuse you of being ungrateful, oh, that was bad news. And that's what I'm saying. To me, You know how I feel about it, Swag. Doc, you know how I feel about that. I still say that I think Bethune needs to reconsider the offer. I really do.
So if my whole thing is if they reconsider the offer, then I don't. The whole thing is who was going to write that, and he should have been around to make sure that he actually signed the contract. And then you got stipulate. And I know in the contract it's gonna have some sort of stipulations in there. He's gonna have some sort of stipulations.
Well, let me ask you this question: do you think that people like we called him Shine? I can't think of what Shine's name was. Mm-hmm. Shine was a head football coach there, played in the league. People like Larry Little played with the Miami Dolphins.
Right.
A Hall of Fame. You think they're gonna forgive him for what he said about Bethune-Cookman? Do you? What somebody in the chat? What's Shine's name? You know, he was the one used to wear he was a flamboyant dresser, huh?
Is it Alvin Wyatt?
Alvin Wyatt. You think Alvin them like that? You think they can forgive him for that? Do you think Larry Little? I'm trying to think of some. You remember the one you called out the other name, Rasheed Mathis, Nick Collins. You think they can forgive him for that? Do you think when they show up at the Florida Classic that those people on Bethune's side are going to embrace Ed Reed after what he said? Do you believe that?
It all depends. It all depends.
Because really, he disparaged the history of that university.
Mm-hmm.
And those people at Bethune-Cookman are some very proud people. I know a bunch of them. One of them was a friend of mine. He went to Bethune in the 70s and stayed in the area, stayed in Orlando. I just don't think that marriage is going to last. I might be wrong, Doc. I might be wrong, but I really don't see that marriage lasting.
Well, Deputy Mario said they will because winning cures everything.
Yeah, you got a point there. Deputy, you got a point there. But you better win, and you better win big. You better win and better win big.
So that's my whole take. Now, Bethune-Cookman, like I said, this is my thing about this. Ed Reed should have took his tail up to Daytona when it was announced that he was going to be the head coach of BCU. Right. He should have seen he should have went on campus, walked the campus, or drove around the campus, seeing what happened, because you had two hurricanes that came through almost a month and a half behind each other. You should have talked to the I would say talk to some students and stuff like that, but you couldn't do it because at the time you got hired during Christmas break.
Okay.
So it all depends, to me, like I said, Bethune could have did their due diligence on this whole thing too. They could have did their due diligence on this thing. See what Mr. Campbell said. Unfortunately, BCU is different. They want to get in the conversation and sweat. Here's another thing: the school decertified the Alumni Association, so they want everything exposed.
Right.
I didn't know the Alumni Association.
Well, let me say this: I'm gonna keep my eye on this situation because, like I said, you're talking about a small private black school. Mm-hmm. Started by Mary McLeod Bethune. Supposedly she started the school with $1.50 or $2 or something.
$1.50.
$1.50. Yes, sir, Mr. Campbell. I see you. It's kind of like he ambushed them. I said the other day, I come from a generation where they used to tell us you don't air your dirty laundry. That's why I say I think one of the words we need to attach besides unprofessional, We need to put that word ungrateful in there.
But yeah, I'm just saying just like this. Like you said, I see one person said the only thing that matters is results, not excuses. That's true too. This is a results. This is a results driven business.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. So Mr. Kelman, how long does he last at Bethune-Cookman? How long does he last?
Yeah, everybody, like I said, my whole thing, people gonna be on one side and people gonna be on the other side. So I understand what people's coming, most people is coming from. But I'm gonna say it kind of like
this. Green said as long as he wins.
Long as he wins.
Okay.
As Coach Green, he's a assistant coach for Russ College women's basketball.
Well, now you know what, Mr. Kelman, you might have a point, because you know what? I used to ask these people up here, I said, with Terry Sims, I was saying, he got to go, he let the program down. They said, well, he ain't going nowhere as long as he beat FAM. That's what they used to always tell me. They say, he ain't going nowhere. As long as he beat FAM, he ain't going nowhere. So you got a point. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Now, this is something I'm about to put on here. Shout out to the Lit House. As far as I'm gonna show you what Eddie George said about this.
Fighting, and the bigger issue is fighting, and the bigger issue, the school is fighting is the money that's owed to them from the land grant money that's owed to them for the last 50 years. And that's something that can be a huge shot in the arm for our institution. And we have to be responsible enough to then take that money and put it toward infrastructure, put it toward new buildings, put it toward a robust endowment that can continue to build, to grow, and to set up other funds that's going to deal with the maintenance and the everyday use for our student athletes, and to bring in the talent and teachers where we're well staffed. So there's an opportunity there. Tennessee State has the bones to be it's a great institution, but now it's time to go from good to great to eminence, to be exceptionally great with those opportunities, with those funds, and so forth. So that's what I'm fighting for right now.
So Eddie George wasn't lying about what he said.
Well, now, Doc, let me say this now. I know a lot of people going to get mad, but let me say this. Now, Eddie George has something that Ed Reed and Deion don't have, and that's class. So I think we need to get that understood now. Eddie George is a classy individual, okay? And those people, them two people I just mentioned, are classless. So that's a big difference.
So Eddie George did lie, and this was an interview that was done. I forgot who was the name of what was the name of the interview, but I think it was like a 15-minute interview that they was talking about certain things with Tennessee State. I know they were talking about how he hasn't had the best 2 seasons that he's been, that he's been at Tennessee State, but
now, Doc, let's call a thing a thing. They are never gonna win as long as they in that OVC. When they get themselves out of there, go independent or come to the SWAC or go to the MEAC, that's when the John Merritt days will come back. But as long as they playing alien in them people's conference, they never gonna win. They're not gonna win. They listen. If you go back and look at it, in the last 35 years, they probably won that conference, what, 3 or 4 times? How many times they won the OVC?
It's been a couple of times. I think, you know.
That's what I'm saying. In 35 years, they probably won it a couple of times.
Yeah. I don't hate to take. Okay, so why we need to take Prime name out the mouth? Because the simple fact is, I'm gonna tell you just like this. And if you don't like what I'm about to tell you, my brother, then the door is over that way. Just let you know. But the reason why we keep saying Prime is because Prime, when he came to Jackson State, and I'm gonna say it just like this: Prime came to Jackson State. He did do a lot for Jackson State. He didn't do too much for HBCUs as a whole. He didn't do a lot of things for HBCUs as a whole. He just highlighted certain things from Jackson State, and most HBCUs kind of picked up and ran with it. Okay. That's my whole thing. That's the whole thing about that. All right.
This guy, what is it? Atto Green?
Uh-huh.
When's the last time they won the conference? Green? When's the last time When's the last time Tennessee State won the OVC?
I know it's been a minute. I think it's been under Rod Reed.
I know it was Rod Reed. Wasn't it Rod Reed?
Yeah, it was under Rod Reed. But like I said, the whole thing about this, and the reason why we keep putting Prime in there is because he's the one who started this whole thing up, talking about we need to help HBCUs. We need to help HBCUs. My whole thing is, if you, as Deion Sanders, has never gave a dime to a historically black college or university other than the school that you said coach for, then you didn't help us in not any kind of way before you even became the head coach of Jackson State. I'm just keeping a buck, y'all. You said we need to help HBCUs. If you said in your interviews that you didn't know too much about HBCUs until Ashley Robinson called you and told you about the job. You didn't know about HBCU until you got your degree.
Yeah.
From Talladega College.
We need to put in there that he was married to a fam alum.
Oh yeah.
His first wife was an alum of Florida A&M.
Yeah, Carolyn, his first wife.
Yeah,
Carolyn.
Yeah.
So you know about a HBCU because
right. He knew
was an HBCU alum. One of your teammates when you got to the Cowboys was an HBCU alum in Nate Newton.
When he got to the Falcons, he played with Houston Hoover. Houston Hoover was Jackson State. He played with Darren Connor. That was Jackson State.
Yeah, you know about stuff. You know about it, but you didn't want to put your due diligence into it. But like I said, when you didn't get you got your degree from Talladega College. You didn't start screaming about HBCUs until you got your job at Jackson State when you got your degree from Talladega. And if anybody Ike Holt too, yeah. Ike Holt when he's a Cowboy. Anybody wanna press the issue on it? I got time today.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Cedric Walker. You're right. That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's the capital city of Florida.
From each other.
Yeah.
Come on now. You can't tell me that you didn't know. Okay, maybe you didn't know when they recruited you, but you knew when you got to Florida State.
Well, I thought I heard somebody say he was always on Florida A&M's campus.
He was.
Yeah, they say he was
Campbell
always
tell
on
you that.
A&M's campus.
Mr. Campbell said I remember Mr. Campbell told me, he said, yeah, he used to be on Florida A&M's campus all the time. And I understand 19 states have HBCU, but what I'm saying is, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. He might not have got recruited by HBCU.
Well, they found out, Doc, that he was. They say that Rudy Hubbard recruited him in Fort Myers. He wanted him to come and play quarterback for FAMU.
Yep, his first wife, Carolyn, she went to FAM.
Yeah, she went to FAM. She was from Miami, right?
Yeah, she was with I think Pam Oliver. That's her classmates and all of them.
Yeah,
right there.
And I think she was a Kappa Pearl or something, wasn't she?
I ain't got deep in that.
She was a Kappa Pearl.
But it might come up. But I'm gonna say it just like this. Hey, here you go. I already knew Mr. Campbell.
Yeah.
So he gonna vouch prime knows about FAMU. He parked that black convertible with the 5 stars parked in front of my dorm. Patty Foot. How he meet Carl? He didn't know about FAMU. Yeah, that's true, and that's true. So that let's not say we hating on Prime. Prime is the first person. I'm gonna just tell you just like this. I'm gonna tell everybody like this. Like I said, I got time today. Prime is the first person for a historically black college and university to get a major upgrade with a Power 5 coaching job.
Right.
What's going on out there? I'm just saying, he is the first person to get the big come up from a black college to a Power 5 school without going in as a damn offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator or analyst. He jumped up a lot of people.
Yeah, his celebrity and notoriety helped him tremendously.
Yep.
Because now let me tell you, Doc, when I was in college, Willie Jeffries left South Carolina State and went to Wichita State, and they tripled his salary. I think it was. Maybe it was probably 4 times what he was making at South Carolina State. That was in somebody from South Carolina State. That's 78 or 79, because Coach Davis took his place. But he was the first one I remember. It was Coach Willie Jeffries. He didn't go Power 5. He went to I don't know if Wichita State has a football team now, but at that time they did.
Wichita State, no, they don't have.
They don't have football now, right?
No.
Right. Because they had a football team when I was in college.
Yeah. They disbanded it in the early 80s or something like that. I remember talking about. I remember they was talking about that. Now,
another Florida State player that stayed on Florida A&M campus was the one that won the Heisman Trophy quarterback. What was his name?
Charlie Ward.
New Orleans.
Oh, Jameis Wilson.
Jameis Wilson stayed on Florida A&M's campus. He was always, whenever Florida A&M had homecoming, he was there. I remember that.
So yeah, my thing about this is, like I said, who's at fault? And but with Eddie George had the right to say that Deion and Ed Reed was wrong for what they said and how they brought this about. Because what he was talking about was the over $500 million that the state of Tennessee owed to Tennessee State, because Tennessee State is a land grant university, and they've been ducking and dodging Tennessee State for the longest.
But Doc, I thought it was 1.9 billion.
It's 1.9 billion, but I know they
owe them 1.9. They cheated. They said in the last 30 years, they've cheated Tennessee State out of 1.9 billion. They cheated FAMU out of 1.9 billion. They cheated North Carolina A&T out of 2.7 billion in the last 30 years.
So yeah, my thing about it is too. This is my thing too. Yeah, they said they didn't match the funds and they gave it to Tennessee Tech.
Yeah.
So
Right.
he's getting the money. When I'm saying this, and I know Coach Green, I know Bethune Cookman, I know it's a private institution, but what we saying is what he was saying is that he had to he didn't kiss nobody's tail, no backside or nothing like that. He just went in there and talked to them folks like, hey, look, y'all. Dr. Glenda Glover been doing the same thing. She did the same thing. Look, y'all owe us this money. Y'all owe you going to the state. Y'all owe us this money. And so what they doing is they giving the money, and I think they're giving it to them in increments. Now they give it to them in increments. Tennessee State can actually take that money, put some in the endowment. They can take the rest of it, fix up the schools, they could build another dorm if they need to. They can renovate existing dorms that they have on campus. They could take some of the money and invest it into the athletics program.
Doc, you absolutely right about that. Now, they had their largest freshman class this year. I think they had 5,000, and they are definitely in need of dormitories. They need dormitories really bad. But a lot of the black schools right now, because of the influx of all of these young people, all of them need dormitories.
You said they put restrictions on it? Oh my goodness, that sucks. But I know it. Can they go and renovate some of these dorms? Can they renovate some of the old dorms that they have? Because my whole thing is, and I understand, like I said, Mr. Coach Green, I know Florida don't owe Bethune Cookman any money, but they do owe them because they did get hit by 2 hurricanes.
Yeah, FEMA probably come in and give them some money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. They can renovate. Okay. And if they can renovate, that's still good right there. I would rather renovate. I mean, if you can't build a big one, I would rather renovate, take some, if you got some off-campus apartments and stuff like that, you can renovate those to turn it to
didn't FAMU buy 2 apartment complexes?
They did.
Yeah. Okay, what did Mike say?
You see what how does Jay Hobson, a white man, conduct himself better at Alcorn State than 2 preeminent Hall of Famers? He built the championship program at Alcorn.
I agree with you on that.
Because Jay Hobson didn't buck the system. He knew what he knew. I mean, Jay Hobson is a Mississippi guy anyway, through and through.
Yeah, and he grew up coming to the vet to see Jackson State.
Hey, yeah. Oh, Miss Melinda, Mississippi. They owe Jackson State money.
And Alcorn and Mississippi Valley.
They owe money. Coach, hey, what's going on, sir?
What's going on with you, man? I see you on live, man. I just want to jump on for a second, man. I kind of just ran across your channel here a couple of days ago. I know I did a show about this, and I want to just kind of give you a shout out for what you're doing, man. I really like what you got going on, bro. I like you, Mr. Ford. Mr. Tillman, I believe, be on there as well. And I did a show with the guy from HBCU Pulse, Randall
Barnes.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was pretty cool. And we got a mutual guy actually put me on is Reggie. I know he'd be on here all the time. He followed me. He's like, Coach, you got to check these guys out. And I was watching the show that you guys did with, oh, my God, She Loves
D.
Yes. She Loves D. I think she's on it, man. So that's awesome.
Yeah, man. My thing is, I thank you for coming on to the show. Thank you for giving a shout out. I like your show, so I'm gonna keep tuning in. So this is how this is how content creators we network. HBCU content creators we network just like this. I come on his show or he come on my show. I didn't even go on it. I just went on there and said something, and that was it. And I said something in the chat. That was it. But if when people be like, yeah, you need to check him out. You need to check her out. You need to check him out. He do this. They do this. Then that's how we get the viewerships, and that's how we kind of keep going. You know what I'm saying? It's a never ending cycle.
Hey man, iron sharpens iron, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
That's what it is, man. So, Mr. Walker, I said Tillman. I'm sorry, but I said check with Mr. Walker. Cedric Walker was on, I believe, the other day. He was.
Oh
yeah. So I mean, like I said, this is what it's all about. I know. Ed Reed, he started a firestorm here, man. As content creators, we got to, kind of jump on this and talk about it. They gave us a platform to have our voice, and other people can talk about it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it's all about. You get a chance to see different points of view.
Now, I like I said, my whole thing was, like I said, who's at fault? So, and I see it like this: both of them both Ed Reed and Bethune-Cookman is at fault, because Bethune-Cookman should have had all this done way before. They could have cleaned. I mean, you could clean up, but if you haven't done your due diligence as a university to make sure you right your wrongs, and instead of an outsider that didn't go to your university, but he got people that went to HBCUs. His dad went to Grambling, and he worked for, he worked at Southern. For him to air that out the way that he aired it out, he was wrong for how he aired it out.
I agree with that.
It was wrong for how he aired it out. Was it meant to be said? Yes, because if other students is telling your administration that this hasn't been done, and you ain't moved your feet, but this person that's an outsider that's supposed to be nothing but a football coach went and just obliterated you with the words and what he said,
right?
Then you got to come up with it. You got to come up with something.
It's tough, bro. Like, so it's a couple of things I've been seeing as this deal unfolds, right? And you guys know or may not know, I'm a Hampton grad. I got my flag over here. I got to give my flag some love over there. I'm a Hampton University.
All right.
I got to get a wider lens or something. But anyhow, like I said, the way he did it, I think was 100% and completely wrong. But like I was telling Randall, now that the milk has been spilled, how do we now clean it up, right? And I keep hearing, I hear a lot of people say outsiders, the whole thing back to Deion, we not swag and so forth. But I think sometimes we use that selectively, because I have to say there are plenty of coaches in HBCUs that are not HBCU grad. We see several white coaches come in. We see several coaches that are not HBCU grads. They use these jobs as stepping stones to move on and move about.
Yeah.
What's the gentleman that was at Alex Woods was at FAMU?
He was one of the worst ever at FAMU.
And you're 100% right. You're 100%.
One of the worst ever.
Yeah, I think he needed a job, and it was open, and he took it.
A.D. Townsend knew him. Right. You remember Nelson Townsend?
I don't know.
Yeah, Townsend died down there. He died I think while he was serving as FAMU's AD. He brought Alex Wood to Tallahassee.
Right, and so those are the type of things where. So when we say outsiders and so forth and so on, but my question is, I guess the biggest question is, how do we fix the issue? And the reason I say that is these issues have been permeating for years at these institutions. And one thing Randall said, I remember, I always try to rewatch my shows again, because you know this, Doc, as you doing these shows, you checking the sound, you looking here trying to read comments. So you hear a lot of things, but sometimes you miss it because you're not necessarily listening.
Right.
So I always try to go back and watch the shows and see what I kind of missed. And he said at the very early part of the show, he said, these are things we're talking about in our community. And I can agree with that. Talking about trash and so forth. But why are things not getting done? And I'm not talking about money things. So let's. I don't want the chat to kill me to death. But we're talking simply pride things. Like I showed on my show. I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch it. And I know people are like, why you keep talking about this? But pallets in the middle of the floor. The hurdles are not put back away properly. The cover that's supposed to cover the mat is blowing in the wind.
Right.
Those things protect the mat, so you don't have to spend more money to buy another mat that's going to cost you a couple $1,000s. But there seems to be a lack of pride in some aspects of just maintaining what you have. Like I said, you don't have to. Like I said, you could live in Cabrini Green. That don't mean your crib got to be nasty.
You're
right. The picture crooked on the wall, straighten the picture. No big deal. Right? That doesn't take money. I understand building buildings, fixing things from the hurricane, maybe cutting up large trees or so forth and so on. Those things take dollars. But we're talking simple stuff, that equipment that you use every day. I went on Google Maps. This is funny. I went on Google Maps just to look at the campus from an aerial view. On Google Maps, they got a tire in the middle of the football field just sitting up there. You see the hurdles drawn over. And I'm not here to blast. We're talking about just basic stuff that you would do at your house. You cook in a pot, wash the dish.
Right.
And those are the things I think. And I'm not talking about Ed Reed making an excuse. I'm just talking about how we have the pride has to start at home, right? Charity starts at the crib.
Right.
In that sense. And then you go on from there. Like if the man office not clean out, again, we didn't see a picture of the office. It could have been one potato chip bag. It could have been a bunch of papers. Who knows? You know what I mean? But that's just common courtesy in a professional realm, right? You understand what I'm saying? That's just
you correct. You correct, because my whole thing is, that if this man he's been on the campus for a week and a half, even though he hasn't signed the contract. And that's another thing that I really don't like either, because you letting this man go without signing that paper. But I heard that he hasn't signed it yet. Little birdie in the ear said he hasn't signed the paper yet. But if you sign the contract, just get it out the way. I don't know, because he just showed up, like he said, just showed up. If he just showed up, he just showed up. But I kind of understand, him showing up. But if you haven't gotten your house in order, you got to get the house in order before somebody else put you on blast. It's just like if I say, well, my house like this, but knowing damn well my house ain't like this, and somebody came to my house and then they just put it on Facebook, man, that house ain't worth about spit. Then I'm gonna be, I'm gonna feel some kind of way.
But now, Doc, what Ed Reed and Bethune Cookman need, when you get a divorce, they say irreconcilable problems. You ever heard that term?
Differences, yeah.
Yeah.
That's irreconcilable. I don't think they can heal that. They need a divorce. And by the way, bro, when you at Hampton now, were you Joe Taylor, Fred Freeman? Who was the football coach? I know Slick.
The illustrious Joseph Taylor.
Joe Taylor. Okay, so you young, yeah.
Oh yeah, I came out in 2000, man. But when I look at stuff, man, and you look at different things, right? I understand Bethune has a lot of challenges financially. It's a small private institution. They've had a lot of changes from the administrative side and so forth and so on. And those present huge problems, right? They really do. But like I said, there's still some things that need to take place. I was actually talking to a buddy of mine, and we look at stuff and we say, he said, man, what if I was a trillionaire and I wanted to go to Bethune and I wanted to say, hey, I'm willing to donate $500 million right now towards athletics or whatever. And I go to the facility and I'm looking around, and like you said, little things make big differences.
Right.
why is this stuff like this? Right? Like why ought to her? And I'm only speaking about these things because that's what I saw on the video.
Right.
That may have only been, or it may be a lot more. I don't know. But would anybody invest knowing that they see the things the way they are? Not the infrastructure or the roof is bad. I mean, that takes major money. But we're talking about, like you say, day-to-day care. Right? Not that the grass is perfectly green and manicured, but is it cut? Is it, that those type of deals, that just take place in there. And so people are asking, oh, well, he didn't do this. He said in that video, I don't know if you guys saw the 4-minute clip. I played it. We kind of deconstructed that video.
Mm-hmm.
He said, man, y'all told me y'all was going to help me build this. And now I come with the passion, y'all laughing in my face. So he's had conversations with people.
Right.
Like, if you listen to the real context, again, I'm not saying how he did it was correct. I'm beyond that point because it's done. Milk is on the floor. Now, how do we go about cleaning this up?
Right.
And I think that's the issue, right? And it's just little stuff. And I know a lot of people will look beyond that. But like the cracked glass in the golf cart, take the glass off. Like those little things, because when you look at other institutions and other places, you don't see that kind of stuff. And I'm not talking, it's not an HBCU problem. I know at Hampton, they don't have that. We ain't, listen, President Harvey wasn't having that. I can tell you that right now. That dude, that light-skinned cat was tripping. You understand? Listen, that dude had
Slick Harvey.
Let me tell you something. I'm riding through campus. I'm from Miami. I got the rims on the Blazer, the 89 Blazer, the music bumping.
Mm-hmm.
That boy had called the police on me to pull me over by playing the music too loud on campus. What's wrong with you, what?
Slick went to the same school that Deion Sanders got his degree from.
Talladega, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just certain things that need to be in place. Now, is the process bad? Like refund checks and financial aid and signing up for that? Man, that junk was bad at Hampton too, bro.
I know I was at Jackson State. It was bad when I was at Jackson State. You know.
So
it was even I tell people I took a hiatus from Jackson State with the Stephen F. Austin. It was kind of bad just like that too, They was more, I feel like they was more nice with it. They'll tell you like, yeah, it'll be here next week, and then you wait about 3 weeks later, and then you about to go cuss out a white person at the office, and then you gonna end up in the county jail because you done cut somebody out.
Bro, I done seen a dude hop the counter at Hampton about his refund check, dog. So the process is bad. But there's certain things that just wasn't going to happen. You know what I mean? The floor was going to be mopped. The place was going to be clean, that kind of stuff. And to Mr. Ford, I believe, right? That's who's on now?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Ford, too. I don't know if the relationship, maybe it needs to be severed. Maybe. But the question is, how do we fix it? Yeah, even if you bring in a whole nother coach, how does that coach not go through maybe those initial issues that Ed Reed went through right now? Even if you cut Ed Reed head right now.
Yeah, so that would be the best. That would be the first thing. Like Ed Reed was going through the same thing with you as a school. What you think the next coach was going to be? So the whole thing about it is, like I said, BCU should have just get your house in order. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. Get your house in order. Because, like I said, if you got students talking about it and you silence your students, but you got another Hall of Famer that you hired as your head coach for football, he come in and he put you straight on blast. You cannot recover from it.
Yeah, and it may just be I get it, right? There's nothing wrong with that. You just sever ties and call it what it is. Especially if he go out there and he start losing. Oh my God, it's gonna be distraction central, right?
Yeah,
he's not doing what he's supposed. If it's
you see what off script said, right?
Was that
he says JSU Bammers did not keep the same energy for dying when he said y'all was stealing money. Be quiet. Hey, off script, you need to stop that because what you're doing, you displaying that inferiority complex you got.
Shots fired.
Oh.
I watch Off Script too. That's the other show I watch. I was watching his show too, man. So yeah. I guess y'all off script. I guess y'all friends. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm falling into this thing, but yeah, man. I just like I said, pop on. I really enjoy what you guys do, man. You know, I'm always having my HBCU love out here, man. And I see Mike. He be in my show too. He be going off.
Oh yeah, me and Mike. He a down brother. I'm cool with him, man. I'm cool with him.
Yeah. And here's the thing. There's a video clip that's going around as well where Ed Reed was I guess he was on the interview or something. He was talking about picking up trash in the locker room when he was at the Ravens. Have you seen that clip?
Yeah, I remember that one. Because I feel like he has some sort of pride. He has pride within himself. He has pride in the organizations that he's been in, and that's he said something about University of Miami when he was at University of Miami. Like they had the worst facilities in all of the major power conferences at that time. So he says he's not. This ain't. In a sense, this is not the first time that has never said anything about something.
Right.
Was the timing wrong? Was the timing wrong for it? We don't know. Was the delivery wrong? The delivery was wrong because it was on Instagram and everybody seen it. It was shock value.
Hey, wait. Oscar said it's easy for Mr. Ford to say whatever he wants to say, duck and smoke, jump on everyone try to talk about me when he would not be known if it wasn't for my channel. You fooling yourself, man. You fooling yourself. That's arrogant.
That's arrogant. About you. I've always keep good praises on the channel, bro.
Oh man, here it goes going down.
We not gonna. We just, that's one thing I don't want to do. Do not want to just jump on it and I don't want to say anything about nobody else's channel and stuff like that. So I'll always keep it cool, calm, and collect because that's the way. That's how we. Like I said, this is just iron sharp as iron. That's the way.
It's YouTube, dog.
It's YouTube. It is YouTube,
bro. I tell people all the time, it's YouTube, man. Hey, but I totally get where y'all coming from. But what I feel like with Ed Reed is here's what I think he understands. He understands that little things, like I said before, make big differences. He said in that interview, pay attention to the details and make a difference. That is also why he's praised for that particular play with Peyton Manning. Mm-hmm. That he made because he paid attention to the details of what happened. Therefore, it told him the bigger story. He could fake out Peyton Manning because there was something where there was a finger twitch, it was an eye blink, whatever that small detail was, gave him the big picture. And I think he understands that. And I think that is something that he wants to kind of instill wherever, if it's at Bethune Cookman, wherever he goes, whatever his next move is or whatever. Right. But you can tell, even in that old famous Miami clip, don't ask me if I'm all right. I give my heart and soul into this, dog. Like, so you can tell he's a person who's a stickler for detail. And I think, like you say, you let the emotion and the responding to the trolls or whatever get the best of him. And whoever buddy was in with that cart with him, that's the dude. The dude sitting next to you need to be the dude, like, nah, don't put that on there yet. Let's devise a plan on how we want to put this out here. Instead of going along with it because you Ed Reed. If I'm sitting next to Ed Reed, hey, nah, bro. Hey, Ed, don't put that on there.
Yeah, don't put it on there. Like you got it got to be some sort of censorship. But I know he gonna say what he gonna say because that's just how he is.
But let's do it the right way.
Right. Let's do it the right way. Because he even said, he even said something about the trash, with the Ravens. He even said something about something in the front office for the Ravens. He just came out. He knew what he was saying. You could decipher what he said, but he knew what he was saying. But it's not neither here or there. And we just seen. I just played the little clip from that interview with Eddie George, and I can say it like this: like Eddie George had the right way that he said it without being in an upheaval and stuff like that. And to me, Eddie George, it don't matter what Eddie George do in football, as far as being a football coach, he's gonna be there for a minute. He's not. I don't think he's gonna get fired. I don't think Dr. Glover's gonna let him go like that. I don't think the athletic director for Tennessee State gonna let him go like that. I'm not saying that he gonna have losing seasons. They're not gonna do anything, but I see with him progression, and I see the way he lobbied. He did more lobbying and not being a bedfellow with politicians. I just feel like before he was a head coach, he was a businessman. The man, he knows business. So he pretty much lobbied everything, and he's like, okay, what can we do to get this done?
Sure.
And that's the thing between Deion Sanders, Ed Reed, and Eddie George. And even if you can put it in there, you can say Hugh Jackson. So I mean, it's all like a lot of. I don't want to say a lot of things, but it was just the way that his delivery was, his tone was, and all the things that was going on. He knew what he wanted
because it wasn't out of emotion. He didn't do
right.
it out of emotion, even though it was spawned out of emotion. But he wrote down. He probably, formulated what he wanted to say. Probably outlined what it was, what talking points, so forth and so on, and didn't let the emotions get the best of it. No, most people get in trouble. 99% of the people who get in trouble on social media because they hit the record button at an emotional state.
Yep.
That's it. If Ed Reed comes right back out and says those same things on Instagram after he thought about it and said, listen, man, I came here, I talked to some people. They said they were going to help me out with this deal, and things are not getting done. I need the alumni. I need the alumni to help me out. He's got the phone up. They're like, I need the alumni to help me out.
Yeah,
we got to make moves right now. I need a cleanup crew to come down here. Can we help some alumni formulate this thing? We're going to do a massive cleanup here on February 1st. Like a call to action in that sense. Man, y'all can help me come clean this ish up, man. Now it's falling on deaf ears.
Right.
You could have said the same exact thing in a different manner and even maybe show some of it. Look, man, the hurricane tore the fence down. Is there a guy out there that may want to donate to fix the fence back? We could weld it up. Those type of things happen. And that's how you get your point across where, hey, man, look, the hurricane Nicole or whatever it was, tore our fencing down right now. Safety is our first priority here on campus right now. We're not safe. We got to be able to close this in. Can we get a fencing company to come in and donate their time and effort? Bro, you don't think a fencing company would have flew over there?
Right.
I think one thing we miss it. What you calling for is you calling for people to have wisdom and knowledge. Does he have wisdom and knowledge?
He got some wisdom. I mean,
he's not a dumb guy.
He's not a dumb guy, though. He's not dumb.
But here's where I think the problem lies, though, Mr. Ford. I have to be very honest with you. And this is where a lot of people, I think, also took this out of context. When he came and said, I've been here a week and a half and done more than what the people have done in years. I don't think he was talking about, like Randall kind of alluded to, well, what did he do? Did he help people with graduate? No, that's not what he was saying. I think what he was saying was, I've been here a week and a half and all of this stuff was torn up and terrible. I got a bulldozer out here. I got a football team working to clean it up. I got all this stuff done when the higher ups. So when, please forgive me, Reggie Theus, am I saying the AD's name right?
You Reggie Theus? Yep.
Reggie Theus and whoever, maybe even the previous coach or whoever the upper brass was, could have taken that same initiative after the hurricanes to before Ed Reed was even in the picture. Hey, this stuff is broken. This stuff is dilapidated. How do we get it fixed? and could have gone through that same avenue instead of just walking past it every day. Because as I look, the Office of Admissions is literally in the same parking lot as that building right there with trash. In the same, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's in the adjacent parking lot of that track area. So there lies a problem. How do the people come into the admissions office every day, which is huge for a university? You know, the upward brass come in there, and they don't see all that stuff back there.
Right.
Somebody put in your chat, said, you calling a multimillionaire dummy. You just had a president was a multimillionaire and a dummy. And his name Donald Trump?
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. But, you know, got a question for Corey Mack, Mr. Ford. You might answer his question. He said, why did Bethune-Cookman get rid of Lynn Thompson?
No, he retired. They cut the budget, and he went on and decided to retire. I think he's helping with the conference office or something. But if he were down there, you wouldn't have all this foolishness happening down there. That might be the root of the problem, that he's out of the way now.
Okay. Because when
he was one of the best ADs in the country for almost 30 years. He did a lot with a small amount. He loved the school, loved the athletic department, did everything he could for him.
So my thing about it is, once you slash that budget for athletics, it's something that you can never kind of recover from, because now now it's the thing we call working pennies on the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, you gotta go with you gotta go like, well, yeah, I'm gonna say put like $20,000 to golf. Let me put $50,000 to track. Let me put $100,000 to men's basketball. Let's put $100,000 to women's basketball. Let's put $300,000-$400,000 to football. Now you working with pennies on the dollar. You ain't got that type of money right now. And then if you don't have an alumni, you decertify your alumni association, so you're not getting those type of money donations from your alumni, which I think that was crazy to do too. So in a sense, it goes back to what I said. Cookman, you gotta get your house in order.
Mr. Ford, may I ask a question? Are you an alumni of Bethune?
No, I'm not. I'm my undergraduate is it was called Clark College. They call it Clark Atlanta, and I also got a master's at Grambling.
I got you. I was simply asking because you seem to be very knowledgeable about Bethune. I mean,
Bethune has been in my life. We had a lot of people from my high school to go to Bethune. We had a number of athletes that played for them. We had one, Elijah Richardson, played for Bethune. He was from my hometown. He played for the Buffalo Bills and for the Miami Dolphins. We had Eugene Richardson, his brother, was with the Lakers until Jack McKinney was hurt on that bicycle. And then he went over to Europe for 15 years. So I'm from South Georgia. We know a lot about Bethune-Cookman.
Oh, what part of Georgia? What part of South Georgia?
I'm originally from Albany, Georgia.
Oh, I got plenty of I go hunting in Dawson, Georgia all the time.
Yeah, Terra County.
Terra County, baby. My uncle. Terrible, man. My uncle and family are big in the school system there.
Yeah. So you know about Albany State then?
Oh man, I've been all through there. Jimmy Hot Dogs, the Greyhound.
Jimmy Hot Dogs, that's right. There you
they ain't
go.
the same anymore, though. They're not the same anymore. But
listen, Albany State just got a FAMU alum as their new head coach. I've been telling them he gonna turn that program out. Quinn Gray. Yeah. Quinn Gray is the new coach at Albany State. I think he's gonna take them to another level.
Good, man. I didn't know that. I didn't know he was there. But
he got hired on like last week, though, week and a half ago. About 2 weeks.
He's getting ready to bring some players in there.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
gonna bring them kids from Tallahassee, from Jacksonville, from Fort Lauderdale, along with them kids in Georgia.
oh man, that's good, man. That whole Lee County's growing real big and all of that. But I was going to ask you because I'm trying to find out what is happening at Bethune. Like, why is it? I don't want to use the word so bad, but like, why is it such a quick decline from a financial standpoint? I know it's a small university, and I get that, but
You mean Bethune-Cookman?
Yeah. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but I'm trying to say from money management to this to that, you just like, and I hate to see this, but you hear the alumni who you talk to, off camera, of course, whatever.
I think one of the things you got to keep in mind, corporate giving is going down around the country. Even the PWIs, the private PWIs, they're complaining about corporate donorship going down. Okay. Our private HBCUs have always struggled. Now, unlike you at Hampton, unlike Spelman, because when you look at the AU Center, Clark has financial problems. Morehouse has financial problems. But I think Spelman School is tied in with the Rockefeller fortune. You're talking about a $400 million endowment. So, but most of our HBCUs, private HBCUs, they're having a lot of financial problems. I think some have gone out of existence. Like you take a Knoxville College, didn't they go out of existence? Or did they come back?
I'm not sure.
Did they come back? What about Bishop? Bishop
gone? Bishop gone.
Bishop gone?
Bishop been closed since 1980. Since 1988.
Hey, Ricardo Johnson just hit it on the head. He said America has financial problems. You right? Because one of the things they're saying about 2023, people are going to be losing jobs left and right. We're going to have serious dollar problems.
Yeah, I just hate to see it, man. I really do. I hate to see, Bethune-Cookman be in such dire straits, man, because, of course, they were the, FAMU and Bethune were the top HBCUs here in Florida. Many of people have been educated through that deal, and the rivalry, of course, is great. But golly, man, you just hate to see,
Well, I mean, the thing is, we got $2 trillion in discretionary income in Black America, but we got Black colleges that's suffering and about to close down. How much sense does that make? We spent what? I think we spent $10 billion on hair weave. We spent $234 billion, I think, on tennis shoes, and we got schools about to close down. That don't make no sense, dude.
I got a BCU informant. What's going on, Jay Blue? What's up?
What's going on, man? So, in a nutshell, I worked at Cookman from 2015 to 2016. The administration, all of this goes way back to the administration, the Jackson administration that took over from Dr. Trudy Kitty Reed, I believe was the previous president after Dr. Bronson. That Jackson administration riddled that institution with debt. So they went into, you can look it up and Google it and look up the BCU residence hall or dorm deal that was horrible that they made with Wells Fargo for 2 res halls. I want to say over $300 some odd million. It does not take $300 some odd million to build a res hall.
What is this? BCU?
BCU's like their dorm deal, their residence hall deal that they did with finance through Wells Fargo. And so a lot of that stems from that administration mismanaging funds. They were given the keys to an institution that was debt-free when that administration took over that institution. Ooh. That institution now is riddled with debt. When I was working there in 2015, we had an enrollment of 4,200 students. Now I believe they're down to like 26 or 2,500 students at Bethune-Cookman. the more students you have, the more money is in the budget for the institution. Being a private institution, they don't get state funding. They get some state funding, but it's like for the academic year, maybe like $6 million from the state of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
We always go to Tallahassee to do they do some type of rallying at the Capitol, lobbying for money. So some private institutions within the state of Florida receive a little bit of a check from the state, but not a lot. And with them cutting the budget for football, they've done. I don't know if anybody on the call or in the chat room have actually been to Cookman and actually seen the practice facility where Cookman practiced. It's amazing to see the level, how they were so dominant in the MEAC for so long, utilizing the facilities that they had at that school. They did a lot with very little.
Bare minimum, bro. I've been there. When I say bare minimum.
Have you seen the track behind the School of Business, and inside of that track is the practice football field that's like 8 up, man. Like
it's bare minimum. Like
now you say you are Bethune-Cookman graduate?
No, I worked at Bethune-Cookman.
Okay, so how do you think the graduates feel about what Ed Reese said?
I've talked to some of the graduates and some of my former students, and it's 50-50. I have some of my former students that's like happy he's calling out the institution, but I have some that are like, it's okay to call out the institution, but it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the way that he said it was so disrespectful, and it was just, it's not what you said, it's just how you said it. That delivery was inappropriate. And then you work for a faith-based institution. They take that faith-based mentality. It's very serious for them at Bethune-Cookman. They have very close ties with the United Methodist Church. So for you to be the new football coach coming in and cussing on a live, and you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And looking at that alumni base, which is, in my opinion, when I worked there, that alumni base is very conservative. It's, you go to a football game, they ain't jumping up and down like at a Jackson State game, because I'm a Jackson State alum. They not jumping up and down and carrying on at football games. They kind of real conservative in the box, And
where you went to school at?
I went to Jackson State. I'm a Jackson State grad. Well, I actually went to 2 HBCUs. So I started off at Southern University, stayed there, played around for 2 years. My mama threatened me I had to get my life together, and I transferred to Jackson State. And I graduated.
Well, let me ask you this question. Now, in your opinion, does Bethune-Cookman need to stay in the SWAC, or do they need to go Division II?
Alumni would probably not like them to go down to Division II. I personally think with the way the finances are right now, it will be probably best for them to drop down to SIAC and be a member of SIAC. I can't say that this is like full gospel from what I heard from some alums that have some insight with the presidential search and things of that nature. They had a president from 2019. I think he was there 2019 to 2020 or 2021.
Was that the guy from Purdue?
President Schrite. Chrite.
Yeah, I think he left and went to a school up north somewhere.
I think pretty much that board of trustees ran that man off.
Okay.
It was one day he resigned, and within that same week or the following Monday, he announced that he had a presidency at another PWI. Just like that. Yeah.
Okay.
And so he was willing, because he came to Cookman he's a businessman. He was a dean of a business school. And so he has a business mindset, and he was wanting to make some very, very hard decisions in reference to athletics, in reference to the marching band, and cutting down some scholarships and things of that nature, just to try to right the ship. But he went up against so much opposition when he came into Cookman. It was like, one, you're not an alum of Cookman. Two, who are you coming in from this PWI to tell us kind of what we should and should not do? And how dare you talk about maybe cutting some funding from the marching band and athletics? I think he just had gotten to the point where he was just like done. Like, I'm good. I've been here 2 years. I'm done fighting. I'm tired, and I'm ready to go. And that's what he did. Because it was real. It was a real abrupt resignation. And as soon as he resigned, within a week, that man had a job.
So my whole thing is because the instability about Bethune-Cookman, because you're on, like I heard, you're on the third interim president, just the third interim president. So the board of trustees haven't even made the decision on who they want as an actual president. So they just naming people like, hey, it seems like getting people out the street. Hey, you want to be president? You want to be president? Because that's what it seemed like to me. But
let me ask this question now. Do you see Bethune going down the path of a Morris Brown?
I don't think it will get that bad, but if they don't right the ship, it's a possibility because Sachs has already been there in reference to they come reaffirmation and all that stuff with in reference to accreditation every 5 years or whatnot.
Right.
So I don't think it's gotten to that point as of yet, but if they don't get their priorities in order, and so for me personally, I personally feel once they let the coach go from this past season, they should have just named somebody from that particular staff as an interim coach.
Yeah, I agree with you.
They need to be focused on getting a competent and innovative president to come in there and right the ship. If they do not do that within this next year, I don't know what's going to happen with the actual.
So we got a question from Deputy Mario, and Deputy Mario, he's a real cool dude. He asks, can we say that alumni could be in the way of BCU growing to its full potential?
I think the board of trustees is what's keeping BCU from growing to its full potential.
Ooh,
that board of trustees is trash. They need to trash the whole board of trustees. All of them need to come off of there, and they need to start anew. Because
who named the board of trustees?
Hey,
that's the question.
Hey, you better be careful with that trash word. That's a trigger term now, boy.
What's that?
He said they trash. I said you better be careful with that word trash.
It is what it is. The alumni from Cookman know that board of trustees is holding up progress at the institution. Anytime that you have I don't know if y'all heard about their alumni association and how they've been kind of disaffiliated from the school, which is crazy to me.
Right.
But that's something that's happening too at Cookman. I mean, so you have alumni that are not a part of the board, that are not a part of administration, that were a part of this alumni association that's been disaffiliated from the institution. I don't know how you disaffiliate the alumni association from the institution, but they found some kind of way to do it. Look that up too. But you have a lot of infighting. When I was working there, we had an alum from South Florida that apparently is very well to do, that they say he could have actually come on campus and write a check and delete all the debt that the institution had, supposedly. But he said as long as that administration was in control of the institution, he wasn't writing any more checks. And so he didn't write any more checks as long as the Jackson administration was actually there. It was real top heavy back in 2015 too. You had,
and this is
cabinet.
I'm reading it. I'm reading on Wikipedia, but he's the one that signed the deal for the
res halls,
for the residence halls.
And then he said he wasn't. He doesn't recall signing for that deal. And they had
the school sued them. Sued them and other people for over $306 million for a construction deal that was alleged fraud, corruption, and bribery. So I'm gonna tell people this. Let's get this disclaimer out here. All HBCUs do not embezzle. They do not have fraud. They do not have corruption. This is just This is one school, one incident. Does not happen at every HBCU. I'm just trying to get this out there for all the people that's looking and that's listening. Because we do not want to be, this one thing we don't want. Just because this happened at Bethune, we don't want to hear it saying that it happens everywhere else.
That's fair. Doc, I got a question, Doc. Like, I hear Blue. Am I correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So at one point you were talking about somebody came in, and I keep hearing this, and I understand it, but I keep hearing this about this outsider. You're an outsider, right? You say, "Oh, he not from the HBCU. He from here. He came from PWI, blah blah blah." And I'm not saying PWI is right or wrong, but is there a problem if somebody comes from a different walk of life to come in there and potentially make some type of change? And the reason I ask it that way is because I think that's the go-to when you don't want somebody, is that they're not this. They're not HBCU, right? They're not whatever the case may be.
I will say this, in my opinion, I will say one of the things that I think are one of the mistakes I think people that are not HBCU grads or not an alum of that particular institution, sometimes when you have new leadership come in, they will come in and not take the time to get to know the alumni, the stakeholders, not get to know all of the traditions and the history of the institution. And they come in automatically on fire, wanting to change things without really knowing historical context of the institutions. And so when you have that, you burn bridges without even knowing that you burning bridges. And that's where I think that's, in my opinion, that's where I think you get that backlash or that pushback from, in terms of having somebody that is not an alum of the institution, or, and then, with us black folk, I'm going to say it, with black folk, we are very protective of our spaces. We are very protective of our spaces.
I agree.
And sometimes we are so caught up in tradition and historical context that it's hard for us to think about innovation and how can we make something better and do something totally different than what we've always done. And to have somebody come in to try to just change that overnight is kind of like a shock to the system. If right.
But to that point, right? Mm-hmm. That shock when what you just talked about may just save your life. Just like the paddles, right? If I just sit there and be like, I'm doing CPR, but guess what? These paddles shock the system. It may just bring you back to life. And I understand what you're saying. I'm just posing questions. I'm not agreeing. Yeah. I just feel like you have dialogue, you just kind of just throw stuff against the wall, maybe open people's eyes. But when people are so blind or have their blinders on to protect something so much, and I felt that's kind of where me and Randall were going on our show. He was so
fixated.
Yeah, thank you. Because I don't want to use the word blinders because he's not blind. He sees it. But he was so fixated on protecting the integrity of the HBCU that I think the other pieces were being missed. So, for example, yes, when you want to have certain traditions, there may be a time in life that you got to stop something that you've been doing for a long time because it's an eating cancer, right? And that, like I said, I'm trying not to use these trigger terms, but these are all analogies and metaphors in the sense of that tradition right now is eating at funding that can help save your life right now, right? We all want to walk, but if I got to cut my left leg off so I could live, I won't be walking. I'll be rolling the rest of my life.
That's great.
Yeah.
You understand?
President Jay Musa, what's going on, man? It's been a long time since you've been on here last time, bro. I don't think you hear me. No, but go ahead, Jay. What are you about to say? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying, and I think Black people and HBCU grads and alums, we can be a bit gun shy of having somebody come in that is not an alum. And the reason being is because we know that the others will utilize one of us to plant within the actual institution to disrupt. Prime example, I'll take when I was at Jackson State, we had President Mason came in. I think
when you go to Jackson State.
I was in Jackson State, late 90s, early 2000s.
What year? Late 90s.
I came summer 98.
See, I was there. I was already there. Fall. I came in summer '97.
Okay. So you know when President Mason came
in.
Oh
yeah. We already knew about President Mason.
Yeah. And at first for me, I liked President Mason coming in and everything, but he also was one that was coming in to try to change, because during that time, that's when it was talks about changing us to the University of Jackson and all of these different changes and things of that nature. Then, they had talks about the mergers of the HBCU starting around that time and all of that stuff. So, and I think a lot of alums looked at Mason as, okay, you really are going along with what IHL is trying to do. Mm-hmm. And if you know anything about IHL in Mississippi, IHL is not trying to help any HBCU in Mississippi.
Nope. What is IHL? I don't know what that is. What is
the
that?
IHL is Institutes of Higher Learning. So basically, the IHL is like a board of education for the board of trustees for all the universities, the public universities in Mississippi.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Like a governing body type deal.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Okay, yeah, and they actually, if you look at the way our presidents have been chosen, so after Dr. Myers, we had Bynum, right?
Yep.
And so Doc could tell you about this. Bynum wasn't even in the top 3.
True.
But the alumni made such a fuss because we wanted one of our alums that had worked for the federal government, Department of Education, to be the president. They were like, oh, y'all want to make a fuss? Okay, you ain't getting none of the top 3. We just going to give you Bynum. And Bynum was the president at Valley. And so they just gave us Bynum. And it was just like,
And with Bynum didn't do a bad job at Valley either when he was president.
Yeah. He just got caught up in some things when he got.
Yeah, he got caught up in that scandal.
And that right there, stop right. That right there. And I hate to say it,
but I'm gonna say it like this: the scandal.
Oh, go ahead. What was the scandal?
The scandal wasn't with the school. It was it had nothing affiliated with Jackson State, but because he was the president of Jackson State at the time, it just lumped it right up in there. But
lead them prostitutes alone, man.
Yeah, and the thing is, we can't recover, and that's where our leadership have to understand. I talk about this in coaching all the time. As Black coaches, you make one misstep, you won't get another job. You won't get like Bobby Petrino, where you can have a girl fall off the motorcycle and you step down and get an $800,000 a year job for a year and go right back to Louisville, back making millions. You won't get those opportunities where you can have a scandal. You got this, that going on, and you're going to get another job. Most Black coaches, they have had a scandal. You never see them again. I forget the gentleman's name, and maybe you could tell me. He was the head coach, I want to say, at Wake Forest for about 2 weeks. He was living in Indiana or whatever, went back to get his stuff. Him and his wife got into it. I think he pushed it down or whatever, had a little DV charge.
Was it basketball?
No, it's football, coach.
Football.
They fired him. I think the last time I looked him up, he was coaching at Texas Southern. What I'm saying, he never can get another job. But you see, you go from Urban Meyer, he married, he got his thumb on some girl behind him, I'll leave it like that. You got all these different scandals that go on, and these guys continue to get jobs.
I
go back to Ray Nagin. Dog, I thought Ray Nagin was going to parlay that whole New Orleans thing into something huge, the way he stood up and said, we need help out here, my man. Man, that dude right here, this man right here going to jail for a Rolex watch and a trip to the Bahamas, bro. Like, I'm just saying, this dude done went to jail. Like, he was the face of New Orleans. Like, he was the face. Him and what was the general's name?
Honorary. Yeah.
Like, well, I thought it was gonna be Batman and Robin for the Black community, boy. Like, man, look here, man. This dude right here went to jail for a Rolex watch and a trip to the Bahamas. Like, so we fall for the okie doke all the time in that sense. Come on, man. Prostitute, bro. You the president of a university, dog.
Yeah. Yeah. What's going on, Swagging the Food? He jumped in the chat right there.
I like his channel too, man.
Oh, yeah. They did him and J Max, GSPN, J Max, and Al. Yeah, they be doing some good work over there. But yeah, man, it's a lot of things that we say that, like I said, we always get your affairs in order. And Bethune Cookman, you had over 10 years of playing around. And this is my thing. Because Bethune Cookman is a private institution, who polices the board of trustees for them?
Oh yeah, there are. So you have their board of trustees. Well, when I was working there, was pretty large. Like I was blown away by how many people. It was like literally about 25, almost 30 people on their board.
That's too many people for a board of trustees right there.
Yeah, they got so many pastors that are a part of that board of trustees. Then you have what's your boy name? He had a restaurant in Daytona. Vince Carter. I think he's from Daytona.
Yeah.
Vince Carter. His mom is on the board of trustees.
I heard she raised some hell when she was on
the
board.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She a piece of work too. And you had some alums that were lawyers and things of that nature that were on the board of trustees. But it was a lot of people, man. It was a big to do when you have so many people coming for the board of trustees meeting, man. It was like a show every time. And I agree with KJ. They shouldn't have gone with the big time celeb hire. They should have just went ahead and said, okay, we know we ain't got no money. Let's go ahead and get this interim coach, get this young man off this coaching staff, give him a little bit more money than what he's getting paid now.
Yeah.
And focus on getting a president. And then when you get the president, don't run the president off, man, and let the man or woman come in there and do what they got to do to right the ship. Because, like, I ain't gonna lie, I believe in the mission that Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune put into Bethune. She put that's hard, blood, sweat, and tears. That woman, she was a bad woman, man. I mean, starting an institution in that day and time with $1.50, faith in God, on a landfill, because that's the only land that they would sell black people. That campus was built on the Daytona landfill, man.
Yeah.
Like a garbage dump. And she was able to build an institution on that,
And Blue, that right there should instill so much pride, bro.
Gotta have pride.
Just that one fact that we took a landfill and created something that created livelihoods for a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the stuff that as HBCUs, you have to harp on, dog. As an employee, when you hire somebody, bro, do you know that right here where you're sitting was a landfill? You have to, in that interview process, you have to instill that, because that employee, like as you said, you may not have gone to Bethune. You don't know the history. So in this interview process, before I hire you the job, you're going to take this class and you're going to learn what this ground was on. $1.50 in a dream on some landfill. And guess what? Part of your job, I will put it in everybody's job description. I don't care if you see a lollipop wrapper floating, pick it up.
Yep. Yeah, even when I worked there, man, I mean, when I started working there, we had to learn the history of the institution, because I taught too, just like their college success classes. And so we have a whole section on that history that we teach students when they come into the institution, and because a lot of people don't know, it was 5 little girls, $1.50, faith in God, and sweet potato pies that she would sell to make money for the school, and just how she was able to navigate white spaces in order to make sure that institution flourished. And a lot of people don't know that Cookman is a white man that's actually buried on the campus, and she actually talked him into merging Cookman, and that's how you got Bethune-Cookman University. Okay. And so his grave is on campus as well, Cookman. And he had an all-boys school, but I think it was located in Jacksonville, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I just learned something. See, that's the stuff, man. Like, like when you hear about the FAMU and the Rattlers and why they call Rattlers, or the rattlesnake infested land, and like people don't have to understand what people fought for you to have an opportunity, man. And you got it. Like that's the difference between HBCUs. We like our football team, and I understand the protecting of our university. So protect it, right? Like every HBCU has a story, as we all know, right? Hampton University is what? Booker T. Washington there, and he's got a statue on campus pointing at what? The Emancipation Oak. Is where Abraham Lincoln read the Emancipation Proclamation. And you know they were going to tear down that tree to put the highway right there.
Oh, wow.
And they fought for that. But that's what I'm saying. These HBCUs have every HBCU has a story that is so dear to our fight. Yeah, we like the football team. We like the basketball team. We want them to do well. We want to kick everybody behind them. But that right there, those type of histories are what really is where the pride is built on. You know?
Yeah, and Cookman, I look at Cookman as being a real special place, being a former employee of the institution, because I saw firsthand how that institution, being a private institution, you know, their mission is access, giving access to students who probably barely graduated from high school or got a GED. They can go to Bethune-Cookman, and I've seen students come in with GEDs or barely graduated from high school and watching them throughout the years, because I still keep up with my students via social media, and seeing them graduate and become professionals and go on to get MBAs. I got some right now that's in PhD programs. Hell, I'm trying to finish my PhD program. They already beat me. But just to see them and know where they started, you know, that starting point for that student, and then seeing them flourish and go on to do great things, that is the mission that Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune left at that institution.
Man, it's just like, you know, we was at Jackson, you know, the first thing they taught us about was Ayers Hall. And what the significance of that building was, being the first building on that part of land in West Jackson after they was moved from where Millsaps College is, moving from Natchez Seminary to where Millsap College is, all there now to where we're at right now, and then talking about the actual person, the name of the building that was named after Charles Ayers, plus the case. You know, when we got there, we were talking about that. You know, they told us about that. And then about Alexander Hall and the shooting on the plaza with the Gibbs Green Plaza, which I wish they would have never tore that down like that.
Yeah, man, that was history that they tore down, man.
It was history, but you know seeing going around the campus in the girls' dorm, seeing the bullet holes still on the side of the building.
Yep.
And some of the shrapnel is still inside of the walls of the dorm, like teaching all just history just about that. And then learning about the school song. You don't know that, I think before the Ayers Hall, if you don't know anything about the school song, like, bro, you didn't learn. You didn't go to Jackson State if you didn't learn.
Man, I learned the alma mater. I learned the alma mater in music appreciation with Dow Taylor, man. He taught us in music appreciation. And I still sing it to this day at the end of the game, man.
And two, yes, all schools should have some sort of school history class. All schools should have some sort of class where it teaches about the history of that university or that college. And I know they probably have it at Paul Quinn, since I'm in Dallas, you know. Since Paul Quinn moved from Waco to Dallas in the early 90s, it took over the land from Bishop College. That's part of the history that you have to teach about Paul Quinn too, because of the significance about Bishop College.
Right.
And even if you really think about it, I'm gonna put it just like this: every head coach in the SWAC should know what the SWAC is about. They should know what the history of the SWAC is about. They should know that the SWAC is over 100 years old. Is one of the oldest black conferences in the United States. I ain't gonna say it is the oldest, but it's one of the oldest. Because the oldest is what? The CIAA? Either the CIAA, SIAC. It's one of them.
It's one of CIAA or SIAC.
Yeah. So every coach, football coach, should know what the SWAC. They should have a history lesson about what the SWAC is about. They should have a history lesson that the SWAC was founded by 5 church schools and one state supported school, which is Prairie View, and Prairie View is the only remaining school that's chartered.
Mm-hmm. And I went to the Alcorn Prairie View game the weekend we played Texas Southern and Houston, and of course I had on all my J State stuff. I don't care. So I met some women in the parking lot. They was like, "Oh, here you go with the J on." I was like, "Man, look, I'm coming out here to support Prairie View. I done bought a ticket. I ain't even get a free ticket. I'm out here trying to get a T-shirt and everything from Prairie View, man." She's like, we the ones that's really swag. And I was like, okay, you got it. She was like, we the only last charter member of the SWAC. Everybody else, we brought y'all in. I was like, fair enough. You got me there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but still, they should learn the history about the SWAC. And I think everybody should learn some sort of history about a school that they're actually either working at, they go to school at, coaching, whatever. I think that's what it is.
There's probably only a handful of coaches though in the SWAC that know history, and that's probably Alabama State because he an alum. Of course, TC because he an alum. Dooley at Southern because he was there. He was actually on the coaching staff when I was at Southern University. There, I think he was a position coach at the time. And that's when Southern was really like on all cylinders back then. It was crazy. I don't even know. Is anybody else like an alum of their institution that they're coaching their team or whatnot?
Well, most of the other coaches came in from the outside. I'm not gonna say we don't need to have outside coaches, but I'm just saying they just need to learn something.
Yeah. You don't have to be an alum to be coaching there, but I just think, I agree with you that they need to learn the history of the institution and of the institution that they're actually coaching at. And I think it'll give them more buy-in when they actually go talk to alumni too, man. That's one of the things too that alumni are looking for. Somebody that's going to actually be able to talk to them in terms of the university in some historical context.
Yeah, we can say Dancing was swag. He was 2-time swag. Jackson State head coach at Valley.
Oh yeah.
Dancing was one of the better minds. And I kind of actually hate the fact that he did leave Valley, but I understood with the issue that he was having at Valley about what was going on at Valley.
Man, Valley set up to fail, man.
Right. And I would, if I was Dancing, I would not have batted that. I would have went with Pride too.
Yeah.
This is not. I'm saying this is not no hating. This is none of that stuff right here. But coaches like Vincent Dancy, what he did at Valley, and then of course Willie Taggart, he couldn't do too much of anything when he was at Florida State. He got booted out of Tallahassee.
He didn't even make a year, did he?
He didn't even make a year.
Who was it?
Willie Taggart.
Oh man, that cat. I just feel, man.
He the only one that can
recover around, man.
I say he can recover. He the only black coach I know. He got a cat. That's a cat of 9 lives for real, boy.
He is a cat of 9 lives.
Yeah. I want to ask y'all a question though. I'm just posing this question, and I hear the SWAC conversations, MEAC, so forth and so on. Do you think, and I know y'all gonna kill me, I'm just posing questions. Do you think being in the SWAC and MEAC stifles the growth of athletics, or venturing out, going into potential, kind of like Hampton did, A&T, North Carolina A&T did, where they're going to these different conferences from an athletic standpoint, I'm saying. Does that help with the growth and like Tennessee State is, how they in the OVC and so forth and so on? Because how I look at time. No, I was asking from an athletic standpoint.
No, because you're an alien in a conference that don't want you. They basically using you. Tennessee State has been pathetic. I just said it. They've been in the OVC 35 years. They probably won the football football championship maybe 3 or 4 times. Hampton has gone into the CAA. A&T has gone into the CAA. Y'all in a ditch. You can't compete against Villanova. You can't compete against Delaware. Y'all should have stayed in the MEAC. You could have played them games. You could play one or two of them games. You don't have that kind of you don't have that kind of money. Okay, Hampton is going to play Delaware. Hampton has 15 million. Delaware has 40 million. Hampton is going to play Villanova in football. Villanova spends 58 million on athletics. You spend 15 million. You in over your head. You're in a ditch.
But I wouldn't even count Villanova though.
But I'm saying, but you look at it from a football standpoint. But I'm looking at it as athletics overall, right? We're talking football, but I'm looking at it as athletics overall. Now, football, the money does mean a lot. Don't get me wrong, but we've seen basketball make changes now that you're bringing in sports like lacrosse and so forth and so on. I'm looking at that. That's why I said from an athletic standpoint. And the thing is, I don't know. If you go in there, you kind of divide and conquer, right? We could probably start keep people like when I looked at FAMU that got beat by Southeastern Louisiana.
Last year, the season before, The
season before. What if they start now? Because there's a big stigma in the Black community. I used to do college and career in the high school, and our kids are turning their nose up at a HBCU. They be like, I don't want to go there. All right. Right? We have a big prominent dentist here in Orlando, Dr. Baptiste, who went to Howard. There was a young lady who was interested and wanted to be going to dentistry. I'm like, look, the dude literally is in our parking lot. I go over there, like, his office. I take over there. He's like, Howard, where is that? Had a teacher do research. And she's like, that's an HBCU coach. I don't want to do that. Like, that's the kind of stuff that's happening. So I said all that to say, if you start pulling cats out of the Southeastern Louisiana, those type of talent to the Southern, to Grambling, to wherever the case may be, you become competitive because you're in the same thing. That's just how I look at it.
Going back to that Howard story you just told, that's a classic case of brainwashing. We can't get over that now. We got a lot of people that are brainwashed. What's happening on these HBCU campus now? You got 30% to 33% of our people have decided they want to return to their heritage. That's not the majority. That's about 30% of our people. When we go, that's why the SWAC gave up the playoff bid that they had, because we weren't doing it. We weren't competing. We weren't winning. When you go back, look at how many times when Jackson State would go to that at that time it's called Division I AA playoff. Did they ever win? No.
Nah.
So listen, y'all can say what you wanna. It was a bad move for Hampton to lead the MEAC. It was a bad move for A&T to lead the MEAC.
Mr. Ford. What did you think about? I think if I'm not mistaken, back in the day, I don't know if it was the 80s or early, I think it was the 80s, like late 80s, when they were about to cut, when still 1AA, wasn't even FCS, it was 1AA, and they were about to cut scholarships or whatnot. And I remember it was going to be a select few HBCUs were going to try to go up to 1A. But it
was a disaster. Remember, Florida and them attempted it, and it destroyed their program, and they basically ran off Billy Joe. They blamed him for it. Then Alabama State, I think it was he was a lawyer named Watkins. He was saying he wanted Alabama State to go 1A, but they had enough sense not to do it. We don't belong in 1A. We don't have that kind of money. We don't have those kind of resources. You just telling us about Bethune-Cookman. Listen, that's not just happening at Bethune-Cookman now.
Well, that's true.
Like I said, you look at a Hampton. Hampton has probably $300-400 million in their endowment. Spelman, you look at that AU Center. Morehouse has problems. I remember 2 years ago, Morehouse was talking about furloughing teachers. Oprah Winfrey comes down here to hang out with Tyler Perry, and somebody told her what was going on. She wrote a check right there for $25 million. Okay, so when you look at AU Center, all of them got financial problems except Spelman, because Spelman.
Devil working. That boy done hit the portal.
We got you, Mr. Ford.
Yeah.
You said Spelman endowment is what?
It's tied to the Rockefeller fortune. The two white
The
ladies who
Rockefeller,
started Spelman.
Foundation.
Huh?
The Rockefeller Foundation.
Yeah. You know, the two white ladies who started Spelman. Remember, one was named Packard, the other was named Giles. Remember, they wrote a letter to John Rockefeller, and he gave them the money to basically run Spelman. That school is the Spelman is connected to the Rockefeller fortune. But everybody else in the AU Center got problems now. Don't let. I know it. You know, we talk all this about the Morehouse man and CAU and all that. But listen, none of us can touch that endowment that Spelman has.
I want to see what more boys. I want to see what Mo Brown do too.
Oh, well, we're all so happy and ecstatic they've gotten their accreditation back. We just hoping they can come back. See, that's how when I was at Clark, you know, Clark didn't care about football. Morehouse didn't care about football. Marsh Brown would bring in Florida A&M. They would bring in Tennessee State. I saw Jerry Rice when he was at Valley. I saw Charlie Brown when he was at South Carolina State. I saw, because they would play the top tier HBCUs. Yeah.
So yeah, the thing about this is, when it comes down to HBCUs, what it comes down to BCU is, and it's not like every school. Like I said, we're not gonna lump every school in it, but people's gonna generalize. You know, generalization is gonna reach its ugly head because that's how they're gonna put us in. But like I said, Bethune Cookman need to clean up, need to get their affairs in order. And that is the main thing we're going to talk about. Same thing we're going to keep saying. You even say you could be the dead horse. Bethune Cookman got to get their affairs in order.
What is their endowment? They had 130 million, aren't they? Where are they?
Last I saw 35 something. It wasn't even, so I'm looking at a list here. It says Howard at 806 million, Spelman 570, Hampton 379, Morehouse 278.
Morehouse has come up.
Yeah, and I'm trying to see when this was put out. This was put out December 2022.
And where's Bethune? Where's Bethune's endowment?
I'm trying to see. They're not even on the list. The top 10, Alabama State is at 130. So they're not even in the. I'm trying to see if I can find the whole list.
And you know, Doc, I was watching Howard play Morehouse the other day, right? It's long overdue for Howard to get a gymnasium. They need a new arena. I heard you bragging about Burr, but it's time for them to get a new arena.
But they packed it out, so I can't.
Yeah, but it's only about 2,000. What does it hold? 2,000, 3,000, or 4,000?
Probably about 2,000.
Yeah, the school got what, like 10 or 11,000, don't they? What's Howard's enrollment?
Like 10, 11. It's up there, man.
Yeah, listen, that Burr gymnasium is obsolete. They need to build a new arena, and they can't get around it.
But Mr. Ford,
you just said, I think really one of your guests just said, they got a $600 million in debt. Is that what you said?
This list here says 806 million.
Yeah, they close to that.
And you don't have an arena that can hold 6,000 people? That's ridiculous.
But Mr. Ford, look at a football stadium. They're like some high school stadiums bigger than that, man.
Yeah, that green, isn't it called Green Stadium?
Yep.
Yeah.
But they can't. The thing is, you can't build on top of it because it's locked in.
Historical landmarks too around them dorms. Like they football thing. I went over there to their football day. I was up in Maryland. I go by their facility, man. It's at the bottom of a dorm. The football facility is in the bottom of a dorm.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you what they can do. First of all, they need to start inviting some of them SWAC schools to come up there. Go to Audi Field. Audi Field holds about 20,000. If you can't get it out the field, how about RFK? Is the RFK still up or they've torn it down?
I think that's torn down.
RFK is torn down?
XFL was around. They still had it up. They were using it for soccer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. you're going to have to go off campus. You're going to have to go off campus. Like I said, go to Audi Field. The Audi Field is nice. It's about 20,000.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't get Audi Field, let's look at RFK.
RFK is slated for demolition for 2023.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What about that Washington Nationals field?
They gonna let you tear that up.
You don't think you can't play a football game in there?
They don't even want.
You might play one, but you ain't gonna have no season in there. How much does that grass cost? No, Lord, no.
But that's why I said maybe we could look at Audi Field. Because see, listen, I have no problems with. I would love to see Howard invite Florida A&M up to that Audi Field, or invite Jackson, Grambling, or Southern. That would be a great thing. So the people on that Eastern Seaboard could see the SWAC teams. Or you could take them up to New York, MetLife Stadium. Now, I think that's a big game. They got, it's Hampton is going to play Grambling. That's Labor Day weekend. That's Saturday. That's going to be a good game. Because last year, the one that made me sick was... Huh?
No, I was saying that was the one in New York. I know they used to be called classic.
Yeah, the one last year was sickening. You had it was Howard had Morehouse. I didn't understand why would you invite Morehouse up there when you had so many other teams that were worthy.
Said the Whitney Young Classic.
That goes back to Grambling and
Morgan.
That was Grambling and Morgan State. I think that thing started about 1968. That's when James Harris was with Grambling. You had a guy named Raymond Chester. By the way, is Raymond Chester in the NFL Hall of Fame?
I don't think he is yet.
I don't know, but I'm going to eat lunch with James Harris Shaq. I'm going to tomorrow, man. He lives here in Orlando. So I'm actually going to meet him tomorrow, man.
So you going to eat lunch with Shaq Harris?
Yeah, man, tomorrow. Yep. We're supposed to catch up tomorrow. Man. He lives here in Orlando, and I'm going to sit down and talk with him. I got a player we're going to talk with and all that stuff, man. But, yeah, man, that's funny you bring that up. Had a good talk with him today, and maybe I might do an interview with him, man. Hopefully I could.
Is that Raymond?
You said Shaq. You talking about Shaq Harris?
Shaq Harris.
Yeah, Shaq Harris. Yeah, I'm saying, is Raymond Chester in the NFL Hall of Fame?
I don't know.
I see he's in the Black College Football Hall of Fame, but I don't think he
should be in the NFL Hall of Fame. He helped her to redefine that tight end position because he was the big tight end with the sprinter speed. Came out of Morgan State, played for his coach was named Earl Banks.
Yeah, I want to hear.
I love stuff like this history. I love this, Mr. Ford, because I love the history and this is the history that we don't get because ESPN doesn't talk about it, right?
Well, listen, you got any questions?
Wow, I just like to sit and listen, bro. Like you
yeah.
Coach me, coach. That's my part. Coach me, coach.
So I was about to ask you about. You've already said you weren't up there with Rick Mahorn. That's before you, right?
Yeah, that's way before me.
Yeah, I think that's during the time. And Rick and I think I'm a little older than Rick because Rick came down from Connecticut, I believe. He was originally from Connecticut.
Let me see, Musa, what's going on, man? You got your mic fixed? Let's see if
can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah, we were trying to get you in earlier, and your mic wasn't. You said your mic was messed up, but did you have anything to say about what's going on? Like what was going on?
Yeah, I was able to hear you guys. I just wasn't able to interject, but I actually had a question for Mr. Ford. You definitely seeing like a grand spectrum from like decades of the SWAC, and I know that you were saying about the budgets and not being able to compete. Right. I don't. This is a concept just because I think you may have heard me before, but I went to both. I mean, as you see the picture, I'm a Grambling Knight to the day I die. So
I am too.
So Daryl Grambling for that, but I transferred after my first year to Temple because my records weren't straight and I didn't have a grade point average to actually play. So
Okay.
I was a Prop 48, and then I transferred to
Right. That's so the 80s. You in the 80s.
No, they still had it. I was there in 2010.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I transferred out in 2010. But anyway, I went to Temple, and the only reason I asked this is just as a concept of just a new idea. I'm not sure the gentleman that went to BCU. I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
I think he went to Jackson. He worked at BCU.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blue.
All right. Oh, Blue.
Okay. What's up?
Oh no, we was he was trying to but what did you say, Musa? Go ahead.
Yeah, he was saying something about when a new guy came in. I think we need like a consultant to come in, like a straight professional. I don't think it needs to be from HBCU, but just any type of professional consultant. I myself, I'm in finance. I think just to get an outside perspective, because I think we can really grow our conferences. And I think if like when Deion was there, I know there was a lot of talk about moving up to the FBS, right? But my idea was it couldn't be all, but I think potentially there's 4 probably schools that could do it, but they would have to form like a super conference, like I would say a joint merger. A joint venture where they're not taking away the SWAC and trying to move it up. They're not trying to move up the MEAC, but they take the 4 best blue buds or 6, whatever the minimum is. Of course, being Grambling, Jackson State, Florida A&M, Tennessee State, NC, A&T, like schools that are the biggest ones. And I think that will be able to get a lot of funding because it would be a monumental history move. Now, I'm not saying it might be right now, but I think with the momentum we got, it is possible. But the other option I was going to say is we just need to break away from the NCAA and
I'm for that.
Pocket all the money in. But I think the FBS route will be easier just because it's structured already. I think us going out on our own will be a lot of learn as we go. But I see there's the 2 options. But I just want to see how you feel about the FBS one. We just
Well, now let me just tell you about it. If you're going to go FBS, the average FBS athletic expenditure is $66 million. The average athletic expenditure in FCS is about 15 to 16. So now, which one you think we need to stick with? Do we need to go try to get into one that's the average of 66 million, or do we need to stick to the one about 15 to 16?
Well, the thing for me, just from a financial standpoint, not looking so much at the volume number, because we tend to be self-resilient. As you can see, we're dealing with. We all know the government is not holding up its end on the public institutions, and then on the private ones, they sustaining themselves. I think you said Bethune, or it's not Bethune. Who was the Spelman had a lump sum in their endowment?
Yeah,
but there's not many schools that have excess of an endowment. So I think if we split away from the NCAA, that would take a lot of funding, and I don't know if a lot of people would be willing to take that risk. But I think just because of all right. The reason why Deion going to Jackson State was because we've had coach from the NFL come, but he was like a highlight athlete, right? So like an iconic athlete once in a lifetime. So I think a lot of people were driving off that momentum. Now we have a whole lot of new fans, not just Black people, but just the global spectrum. So I think with that, we can find the funding. It's just we have to. That's why I said an outside consultant, because we have to open up our mind. Like we're so used to dealing with the scraps. I think it's a lot of money out here. Like we got to get out of that mindset of thinking within. And I think I know we can do it. It's just a matter of us being willing to open up to that new opportunity.
So it's definitely money. They say that Negroes in America got $2 trillion worth of discretionary income. So money is definitely out there.
And not just that, there's a lot of, like, if we've seen during the pandemic, there's a lot of white people that donate. I don't know if you can call it guilt or whatever, but the one thing I will say with Dan, he knows how to play that flute and get people to pay attention. And I feel like there's 2 ways to sell in America. You can either play the sympathy role, like woe is me, please help me out, or you can sell it. Like I think a lot of times we expose, which, like I said at Temple, there was one time I was in the computer lab, in the main computer lab of the school, and we had heating problems. So this isn't just specific to HBCUs. Like a lot of universities go to this, but it's filtered. Like you don't get, we tend to deal with things like family, and we tend to spread our business. Whereas at those bigger schools, they keep information. So they don't answer questions. They don't care about the public. They just deal with it once they come out with a correlated email correspondence. So I think we can do it. I just think we have to open ourselves up. Maybe it's a pipe dream, but that's just from my experience seeing both sides.
Well, I would like to see that super conference. I'd like to see that. But I told some people last summer with the super conference, we would have to incorporate what I call NFL principles. Mm-hmm. Alcorn and Jackson would play twice. Grambling and Southern would play twice. They would play at the beginning of the season and then at the end of the season. Alabama State, Alabama A&M would play twice. Because one of the things you're going to notice, travel is going to be out of the you-know-what because of the prices. We're under hyperinflation right now, and it's not coming to an end anytime soon. But, I'm for that super conference.
Wait,
I'm for that super conference.
And this for the whole group. Like, I know the ASUN, right, in FCS, the ASUN, and I believe it was the
WAC.
Was it the WAC they partnered with?
Yeah, ASUN and the WAC is merged because what it is that they're merging together so that way they can become a football only conference so they can move back up, so they can move up to FBS. Really, it's not saying that ASUN is going to move up to FBS. It's the WAC to move back up to FBS as far as a football conference. They still have the WAC as far as for basketball because that's straight up Division I. But when it comes to football, they merge. So you got an East Kentucky, you got an Austin P, you got a who else? Central Arkansas,
Jacksonville State.
But Jacksonville State, Kennesaw State. They moving
North Alabama.
North Alabama. So yeah, that's North Alabama. So then you got a Stephen F. Austin. You got Tarleton State, Abilene Christian, Utah Tech, Southern Utah. So what they're trying to do is, and then you got UT Rio Grande Valley, which they're not going to play football until 2025. So basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to position themselves to move once UT-RGV comes into play. Mm-hmm. They're trying to bump all that. You got to wait 2 years, wait 3 years to win conference championships and stuff like that. They ain't trying to hear that. They're trying to move up as a whole football conference. And basically that's what's happening. Because you got to remember that Hawaii used to be in the WAC conference.
Right.
But they went from the WAC to Mountain West, but they kept their affiliation in the WAC as far as like basketball and stuff like that, but they're in the Mountain West now. But their whole thing is to move up as a whole conference, and to make sure that these schools move up.
Well, don't forget now, there were two inept conferences down here in the South. One was called the Big South that everybody was fleeing from, and the other one's called the OVC that Tennessee State refuses to lead, which is a sinking ship. That's another reason all of them ran to that ASUN and WAC and all of that, because the OVC is pathetic, and so is that Big South conference.
Now they about to join. Now they about to merge and join together to try to become, so they can keep their. So the OVC and the Big South is joining so they can keep their automatic bid for the FCS playoffs.
Yeah, because they're terrible, both of them.
That's the only reason why they're doing that.
Yeah. I think Hampton went into the Big South, didn't dominate, didn't do well. Everybody thought North Carolina A&T was going to win the championship this year. Ran up on a school called Gardner-Webb, and I think they beat them down.
Yeah, that was
then you think that Hampton and A&T going to do well in the CAA? Y'all can forget it. I'm telling you, they in a ditch.
But I
just feel like I'm gonna say this. I gotta run, guys, and I appreciate. I just feel like I'm saying we could steal some players because there's some good football in that Tidewater area. We start dominating that conference, or being very competitive. We could steal some. I'm not saying it's gonna happen overnight, maybe in the next 2-3 years, but you can start dominating. And, they may not like it, and they may change the rules on us a little bit, but we could do it. But I just want to say that I hate to interrupt you guys, but thank you, man, so much. Man,
well,
Doc,
before you go, let me tell you this. You ain't going to beat Richmond. You're not going to beat Delaware. You're definitely not going to beat Villanova.
I don't know, because they said I think they're going to be, if they go in the pod system, it's going to be Elon.
That would help them out.
Hampton,
the pod system would definitely help. But if they stay in the division, you're not beating them.
Probably going to have to play William and Mary, though.
Yeah, you ain't beating William and Mary.
We always played them, right? We weren't necessarily in our conference, but we always played Richmond. We always played William and Mary, right? And so forth. So now at least it counts. We've played them anyway, right? So at least now we in the conference. So now if we beat them, it really matters. You know what I'm saying? That's how I look at it, man.
Well, the telltale sign will be what you do with Grambling Labor Day up there at MetLife Stadium. Now, if Grambling beats you, you in big trouble.
Yeah, I think Grambling going to actually be good this year. Like they got
yeah.
I think
they hit. Listen,
that
guys,
guy up at Hampton, his name is Conti. He brings in a lot of good athletes.
Next time, man. Let me know. Hit me up on Twitter. I'm on Twitter all the time.
Yeah. Hit me on Twitter, man. My social media sucks, bro. But hit me up on Twitter, DM me, man. We exchange number. We'll definitely chop it up, man. But I appreciate you guys. Thank y'all so much. I'm gonna get to you watching. I just gotta take care of some other stuff, man.
All right, now you good. Thank you, man.
Thanks a lot, guys. Bye now.
All right, take it easy.
Yeah, but I think I know Mr. Ford, and I actually agree. It's going to take time for those teams up in the CAA, but I kind of like the HBCUs being spread because we get a bigger reach, like we get a bigger demographic than I'm from Philadelphia in the Northeast, but I went to Grambling off of the Bayou Classic, so exposure is important. Even if they lose for a little while, it'll give some kids in those regions, black kids, that's like, oh wow, it's a black institutions that I can go to, you know what I mean? So even if they don't necessarily win initially, I think it is a strategic move. But I'm gonna just leave it at this. The final thing with the super conference thing, I only would do that if is a joint venture. Like you take the blue bloods from the MEAC and the blue bloods from the SWAC, and they move up into a strategic move to where it's built for them to at least have a chance. One team jumping by themselves. The only team that could have did, I think, was Deion if he would have stayed and he had a long-term vision like Eddie George. But if not, it's going to have to be a super PAC of at least 5 teams, I would say. And I think that would be because if them teams that you named from the WAC conference, you think about it. The only one that really rings a bell is Stephen F. Austin, but that still doesn't equate to the stronghold that the SWAC has in the South. I know the MEAC has reach too, but I'm just talking about from a brand name. Like you got.
Yeah, I understand. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, my when it comes to stuff like that, because we still got to realize, we still got to understand too. Like we got to protect our schools as far as the conference goes, because you got conferences like the Southland trying to get our Texas schools. You know what I'm saying? You got the Southland talking about trying to get Grambling. You trying to get Southern. We kind of had to keep those schools where they at. Because my whole thing with the Southland, they don't pay out. They don't pay out. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I know the SWAC payout is a little bit more higher than some of the conferences in the FCS. And we're not talking about Missouri Valley Football Conference. We're not talking about the CAA. We're not talking about the Big West. I'm talking about purely from Big South, OVC, Southland, ASUN WAC. We have a bigger payout when it comes down to that. But my thing about that is, if you want to do like you said, that if you want to go up to FBS as a football only conference, then you will have to follow that type of model right there. Because that model, they're showing you what the thing is. The ASUN and the WAC is showing you the model of what they're doing. And the crazy thing is too, when the WAC comes back into the FBS, guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna go back and get New Mexico State to bring them back into football. Even though they ain't that good, New Mexico State is still like one of those charter members of that conference. So they'll bring them back into football. They'll bring some of the schools that was not football related. They'll bring them back in. So that's the way that you bring. That's the way that you get that. You know, that's the way that you move up. That give it a couple of years, and then too, you really think about it too. Like all the schools that's moving up, trying to move up with them, like the East Kentuckys and the Austin Peays and stuff like that. They're going to try to move. They're going to try to renovate everything else about their football facilities and athletic facilities, because that's the way that you move up.
Is Tarleton State in the WAC too?
Yep,
they're going.
And they just expanded on their football stadium.
Football, yeah.
They expanded on their football stadium, and then Abilene Christian just built a new football stadium, which is Mr. Ford. That Abilene Christian Stadium might have Alabama State Stadium give them a run for their money. That's how good it looks.
Wow!
Like they can move up. They're doing it the right way, and if you're gonna do it the right way, I will follow that model right there.
Oh, I'm looking. I just pulled up their stadium. It looked like a replica of Alabama State Stadium.
That's what it is. And then guess what? They can actually they have the room to expand.
To expand it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So whenever they get ready to move up, they can expand and say, yeah, we're gonna put like 25,000 people up in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice stadium. The Southland really only want like Prairie View, Texas Southern. So it's more so Grambling and Southern, because that's their only times that they sell out games. Like if you could look at McNeese State, when Southern go to McNeese State, that game always packed out, and that's probably the only game of the season they have packed out.
Mm-hmm.
They want the crowd. They really don't want the school. They just want the crowd. And Prairie View, if they know like I know, they better stay in the SWAC, because they hardly got 2 people going to their games now.
Yeah, Prairie View Stadium. Yeah, EA Prairie View Stadium set up the same way. There's 15,000. They set up the same way till they could expand it to like 25,000-30,000.
Prairie View got a nice setup for it. Just a school in general. It's really nice, really, really impressive. Like I'm even taking my nephew to go to on a tour of their campus over there. Of course, we got to go to Jackson State first, but you know.
Yeah. And so that's the main thing that you got to do. Like you follow that model. That's the reason why I'm like, yeah, they're gonna go ahead and try to fix all their facilities. Like Central Arkansas, their stadium only seats 10,000, but they got a magnificent field because the field is gray and purple with the school colors. Then so what they'll do is they'll probably add another 10,000 seats up in there. Because back then, like the criteria back then for you to move from FCS to FBS back then, like 25 years ago, like your stadium has to be like 25,000. You had to have upgraded facilities. It ain't had nothing to do about the money. Only time it had to do something about the money was if you're gonna move out of somebody's conference, you gotta make that payout.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that people get confused of, and it's not like it's big. You know, we don't have to have that type of money. I mean, you want to have that type of money so that way you can actually sustain it. Adrian Crook, Jackson State does own the stadium. Thank you very much. Let's get that out the way. Jackson State owns the stadium. It was given to us by the state of Mississippi. Thank you.
Doc, let's just put it like this. If your institution, your alma mater is a state school, you don't even own the damn stadium. The state owns the stadium. The state owns the
stadium for so long. They just like, hey, yeah, you play in here all the time, But they knew what they were doing. I mean, the state knew what it was doing because when the state owned it, you had all the high school championship games at the vet and everything.
They moved them all to Oxford,
and
right?
they moved them all to Southern Miss.
Southern Miss?
Yep. They moved them to Southern Miss. So now we don't have anything.
What do you think the likelihood of us getting a stadium on campus within like the next 5 to 7 years, man?
I don't think we need the stadium on campus. The only reason why I say we don't need a stadium on campus right now because of the simple fact that if we give up that land to the vet, it's going to be owned by the University of Mississippi Medical Center.
Mm-hmm.
So I would rather take whatever type of private donations, private funding, and renovate the vet.
Okay.
I would modernize the vet. That's my whole thing. I would modernize it to where if you look at it, I've always said this. I always put an example of this. Southern Cal. After Southern Cal played their last home game, they went and start demolishing a lot of shit. Then they went and they modernized the stadium to where they had luxury suites, skyboxes, a better press box. Like they went to work on that stadium and they got finished with it in time for the fall season. So my thing my thing is that we need to just go ahead and not say if we want to build a stadium on campus, we can do that. But it ain't gonna be no 60,000 seat stadium. It probably be like 35,000, 38 at the most. And people would say, well, we got all this. So what? 38,000 fill up the stadium. And guess what? We'll still lead in attendance for
FCS.
FCS.
Yeah.
Whether we play in a 60,000 seat stadium or 38,000 seat stadium. What other school in the FCS can say that they play other than Tennessee State? Because they could go back and forth between on campus and over at Nissan Stadium.
Yeah.
The
whole kind of small. It's like what, 10,000 capacity?
10,000. Yeah, 10,000. And if I'm Tennessee State, I fix up the hole. I fix it up.
Yeah.
I fix it up to where it'd be like maybe 15,000, 20,000.
15,000, yeah. They can expand that, man. And
yeah,
I just think the stadium on campus. So having the opportunity to start my collegiate career at Southern and then transferring to Jackson State, it's just a difference in game day atmosphere. At Southern, when I was there freshman and sophomore year, man, I ain't gonna lie, it was popping. I mean, you got the alums that come back with the RVs on, like, if it's homecoming week, they come back with the RVs by Tuesday.
Yeah,
they're already parking on campus. In Jackson State, it's just a little different since we are a little ways away from campus, but our tailgate area is fire too, though.
I mean, like tailgate, we got one section for tailgate and everything for parking, and that's another thing I would do too. I would fix parking. I would make a parking garage. I will make it. I will put a parking garage on the site where the vet is. Well, you got parking right there. You got parking all around. I would make more parking spaces. I wouldn't impede on Millsap, but I would try to make more parking spaces because, as you know, everybody knows, like when it comes to parking at the vet, it is horrendous.
Man,
I'm parking in somebody's mama front yard.
Man, I'm trying to
so I can walk over to the side by tailgating, so I can meet everybody up.
Or the brave people parking in the median.
Yeah, I'm parking in the median.
Yeah.
So my wife told me, she's like, y'all doing like this. I took it so last. I'm gonna tell you just like this, y'all. story time, and I'm gonna shut it down a little. I'm gonna shut the stream down a little bit. So story time. So not last season, but the season before, 2021. I took my wife to her first Jackson State game, y'all. Homecoming, to be exact, KJ. It was homecoming. So we in the hotel room. She was like, "What time the game start?" I said, "The game starts at 2." Right, and usually homecoming we used to start at around about 3 or 4 o'clock. So I said it starts at 2. So we stayed at the hotel in Pearl, Country Inn and Suites in Pearl. So I was like, okay, yeah, we're gonna leave around about 11:30, right? We're gonna be around about 11:15, 11:30. So we get up there, we driving. So I'll get off on Fortification Street off of 55. Bro, I kid you not. We was on the exit ramp. We was stuck on there. How bad the traffic was. And my wife was like, she looked at me, she's like, nah, hell no. Next time when we come next year, we leaving early. I am leaving early. I was like, you can leave. We can leave early. We can leave early in the daytime. We can leave at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I still bet you it's gonna be traffic.
Man, I stayed in Flowood for homecoming, and like it took us an hour to get from the Hilton Garden Inn in Flowood to the stadium.
See, and then she's like, so what we do about parking? I was like, parking. Hey, parking, you gotta parking. We on our own with the parking, so we had to park like 2 blocks from the stadium. So if she had a hip problem for that weekend, so she was still hurting. She was hurting her hip, so she had to walk. And she's from California, so she wears Vans all the time. For her, it's comfortable for her. Me, I'm like, no, this shit hurts my feet. So I'd rather wear my J's or some other shoes. Vans, I can't do it. I can't not for no long walking right there. So she's like, why you didn't tell me it was like this? Why you didn't tell me it was like this? I tried to tell you that it goes down for homecoming. It was amped up even more because of the simple fact that Deion was the coach and the team was good. So this year, what we did for homecoming, y'all. So we part like pretty much we part where that apartment complex is, right next towards the where they do the tailgate at. So we parked in the little parking spot, spaces right across the street from it. Okay. So where I was like, no, we ain't gonna be doing all this walking. Cause I had my mom with me too. So I had my mom with me and I had my son, my stepson with me. I was like, nah, I ain't trying to do all this. No, I'm not doing all this walking. She was like, nah, hell no. We are not doing all this walking. We gonna go from park the car here. And I promise you, bro, we left our hotel room. We stayed at the same hotel, y'all. This year too. We left our hotel room. We left at 10. We left at 10. Traffic wasn't that bad getting over there, but I'm talking about we were trying to get into the stadium. Then they didn't tell us about what we could bring into the stadium, what we can't bring into the stadium. I was like, you know what? I really, really do not care about this game. I'm just gonna come in and shoot some content and call it a day. But they man,
we thought we were doing something getting to the stadium about like 12:30. By the time we got to the stadium and I started looking, we were walking around to get to the gate, man. And I think Sonic just said we need to have more gates open, which is true. We need to have more gates open, even though now it seems like we have a few more gates open than we have in the past. But man, I walked through and I looked into the bowl and I was like, damn, the whole lower area was already filled.
Yeah, it was already filled in.
The area in the top half by the press box was already filled. I was like, dang. So yeah, it's crazy because we can have a not so good team and still have like 40,000 people, and that's what people don't understand. And if you look at other SWAC schools right now, a lot of SWAC schools ain't selling out their homecoming. Like,
hey, Mr. Campbell, I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. I missed those night games at the vet because during the summertime, man, you already know, bro. You already know how it is. Especially early September when it's still hot outside. When the game starts at like 6, like say it started 6:30, 7 o'clock. I like it. I love it. It means that it's even though it's like 95 degrees, it's gonna be 85 degrees. Gonna get a little slight breeze coming up in the horseshoe. Like I love it. But that 2 o'clock game, the 1 o'clock game, nah, bro.
You gonna burn up?
Bro. I'm from Texas, man. I already know how it is. I know how to deal with heat. My wife's like, ooh, I can't deal with this type of heat. I was like, yeah, that's heat and humidity on top of each other.
Man, are y'all going to the game in September in Texas State?
Yes, that ain't nothing but a 4.5. Ain't nothing but like a 4-hour drive for me.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna fly in for that. I made like some reservations already. I just got to buy the ticket and buy the plane ticket.
Yeah, I've already said that if I'm going, we're gonna stay in San Marcos because I'd rather stay closer to the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I'm staying in Austin.
In Austin.
Yeah.
Austin. Now I'm gonna tell you just like this, and I'm gonna tell people like this: if you're staying in Austin and the University of Texas have a football game, just be ready to deal with that damn traffic because that University of Texas sits right next to I-35. It sits right in the middle of downtown Austin.
I'm staying by the airport.
Yeah, well, you stand by Bergstrom, that's cool. But I'm just saying, if people trying to stay closer to downtown because they want to be around that nightlife, if you're gonna do that, and the University of Texas have a football game, just be prepared.
I do think they got a game that weekend too.
Yeah, if they got a game, just be prepared that you ain't gonna be stuck in traffic.
Shoot, man.
You say Austin, yeah. And when you already know, Austin traffic is a nightmare. It's brutal. What you got, Swag? JSU game may have some changes coming for this year. Let me know what type of change, man, because I need to know what's up. And I hate the fact we trying to play in that damn SWAC football classic Legion Field. I wouldn't want to go to Legion Field. I hate going to Legion Field.
Man, Legion in the hood, ain't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But I guess before I go, I'm gonna just say this, and I know it's unpopular with some of our alums, but I really hope that Ashley Robinson and the institution decides to go up on our season tickets this year. I've been paying the same price for season tickets for like 10 years, man.
How much you pay for season ticket? What, $100?
I think it was like 100, maybe 120 at the most. I think maybe like it's fluctuated between like 105 and 120, I think. But I mean, that ain't nothing. If you like when I worked at Mississippi State, because I worked there too, man, them students paying like $2 something for student tickets.
Oh hell no!
Yeah, they don't get
going to a Cowboy football game.
Yeah, they don't get in the games for free at like State and like a lot of the white schools. You got to pay for like a season pass.
Oh man, is that contract for Legion been signed yet? I don't know if it's been signed yet. I wouldn't want to play. I wouldn't want to go to Legion Field. Like, yeah, it's like literally in the hood, y'all. Like, you know, man, when you think about it though, you go on to Legion Field, you think when you see it on TV, you see Iron Bowls being played, you've seen Blue Gate All-Star. No, that was in Montgomery. But you just see the Iron Bowls being played there, Alabama playing there most of the time before they went back to Tuscaloosa. But like going up in there, like, bro, I'm like, why is it projects across the street from me? Why is the projects coming across the street from us? Like, I was going in, like, dude, I ain't never seen nothing like that. And then what made me worse when we went down to Southern. I'm sorry, Edwin. I know that you're a Southern Jag, but we're down to Southern, and you cross over that damn bridge, and it's like sometimes I'll be like, boy, I'm in Little Beirut over here.
Man, when I was at Southern, man, I don't know if they still got it, but I only lived on campus one semester, and then after that, I didn't have housing, so I ended up living in what they call the villa, which is like right across the street. Like it's literally across the hump, like on campus, but not on campus because it's kind of across the street.
Yeah,
called the villa, man. That thing was so old and run down, man. But my rent was like $200.
And you know what, bro? I need to go back. Like, you know what? Living back in the late 90s and early 2000s, bro, that used to be fun because, boy, you could pay rent and still ball out. You could pay your rent for like $300 and still ball out of control.
Man, that was when they messed around and let me find out I could do work study and get some stamps too. Man, please.
See, you know what? Yep. I miss them days, man. But anyway, man, thank you for coming on here, bro. Anytime you want to come on here, you just hop on. When I mostly have this, the link in the stream to jump on the stream and everything. You come jump on and stuff like that. Thank you for giving me your insight about Bethune Cookman and their issues. And like I'm saying, and I'm gonna keep saying it, Bethune, have your affairs in order. That's it. gotta get your affairs in order.
All right, man. Be easy. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, man.
All right.
But anyway, y'all, it was a nice show. I know a lot of people going between me. Probably gonna be an hour show, but shoot, you know how we do it here. We all gonna be. If you jumping in, thank you for jumping in. Thank you for contributing to the page. Make sure that if you haven't done it by now, subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure if you already want to become an exclusive member, just hit that $4.99 join button and join for $5 on the channel, man. Much appreciated. Much is done. This goes towards the channel. This doesn't go towards anything else, but this goes towards the channel. And look, I'm all for it. But I'm gonna keep beating dead horse. Like I said, if you know that you ain't got your stuff, if you ain't got your stuff in order, you need to get your stuff in order. You gotta get your stuff in order. So, but yeah, man, I'll probably check out Ken Clark's stream, and I don't know if I'll be on tomorrow, but if I do, I'll be on tomorrow. Talk about try to see if I can get some more recruiting. The struggle should never be a secret. You should already know. We should know what's up with these struggles and what we can do to help with these struggles. And if they don't want to get the help with these struggles, then that's on them. That's on them, bro. But as always, man, just tune in. Make sure that you hit the like button, get that algorithm jumping. Make sure you comment on the channel. Also, make sure you share this with your people. And if you haven't done it by now, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that join button for $4.99 and hit that notification bell to get everything HBCU Overdrive. I'm your boy, Doc Holliday. This has been another HBCU Overdrive live stream. And with that being said, y'all know what I do. Y'all know what I say. Y'all be blessed. Y'all stay safe. And y'all stay dangerous. Peace.